Far be it for me to know what I'm doing here. I have no idea what's going on. This is very bizarre. Every time I try to do this, I wonder, like, is this how I'm supposed to do this? Give me my live. I don't know what to do. Is this working? I have no idea. Oh well. I'm not even sure what I'm doing here, but either way, like, let's see, what is even happening in baseball today? Scheduled for June 1st. Yeah, that's today. Oh, hi. Someone has said something. Hi, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just like scanning baseball games and stuff. I actually just was watching the softball women's college World Series UCLA Oklahoma game, and there was an infield fly play that they did correctly, but the Oklahoma fielder dropped the ball, let's say, and I was like, I'm here for this chaos on the field. So, thank you. Do I know about umpire Paul Missouri, or I don't know. Yeah. Anywho, what I wanted to do today is just sort of like, if you have questions, whatever, ask them. I am actually I've dedicated today to providing that nothing happens in baseball. There's no ejections or anything to do. I've pretty much dedicated today to researching this lawsuit that was filed just, 2 months ago against MLB, alleging discrimination and, what was it? The counts were, let's pull this thing up. Okay, maybe let's not pull this thing up. I don't know. Fade? I guess not. Sorry, I don't seem to be able to transition the scenes for some weird reason. But anyway, it's a lawsuit that's alleging harassment, hostile work environment, discrimination, retaliation, wrongful termination, and or retaliation. So anyway, I am just spending today pretty much just trying to research this and figure out what exactly is happening there. I really wish that I was able to transition scenes, because it would be super helpful if y'all could see this. Yes, save, whatever. I mean, I don't see the point of that, but okay. Did I know about MLB umpire Paul Emmel? He retired this past year. Okay, I have no idea what I just did to program, but yes, I do. So I got news of Emmel's retirement. I'm working on doing that one at a separate time, because there's nothing official that I can find about that, and I don't like to report things when they are not official. So I have heard about Paul Emmel, but I am not doing anything yet because I haven't seen a confirmation specifically, and I don't want to, I don't want to put it out there if for whatever reason it's not the case. Have all the copyright claims been dropped? Yes, all of the copyright claims dating back to the beginning of this year have been dropped. There are still copyright claims outstanding for last year and before that. I've made peace with those, but those were under the old way of doing it, where they would tell you exactly what you're using, home or away feed, the times, etc. So if it was from 18 to 20 seconds, I could, well, they don't do 2 seconds, but like 20 to 30 seconds. If I want, I could edit, trim it, whatever. So yes, all the MLB mix claims from this year are gone. And like as each day passes without a new copyright claim showing up, I'm like, there's a chance it's done. So yeah, gosh, where is it's amazing to me that as soon as you go live here, there we go. I think I just put my the lawsuit up into program. Awesome. I don't know how that happened, but I did it. Um, Thank you. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so what should teams or MLB do to announcers' poor understanding of rules? Oh my. So back in, this was years ago, the Wendelstedt School, and I'm sure other schools did it too. Maybe Kinnaman's school, when he had it, it did the same thing. They offered broadcast, hey, if you come to umpire school, it's free. We're going to teach you, this. And I remember that that Wendelstedt, I think Harry said it was like no one took him up on the offer ever. So you don't have broadcasters showing up to learn the rules. So by going to umpire school during the off season. So, um, but that would be a good start. A good start to have them show up to a class for education, right? The problem is that per the Wendelstedt School's offer that no one seems to ever accept, they don't want to do that. So that's kind of tough. So you have to sort of do it in a way where you bring it to them rather than say, I'm offering you this chance to learn something if you come to us. No, go to them. Spring training would be a wonderful time for that because everyone's all in the same place. And maybe at some point that's what they're going to do. Some teams on the East Coast actually have rules consultants and such. I don't think it's too much of a West Coast thing, but I know that I think the Yankees were one of them and maybe the Mets. I don't remember exactly, but that's not mainly for the broadcasters. That would be more for like the managers and players. But yes, to get broadcasters to have more rules knowledge, we need to figure out a way to take the training to them. And it's not really training per se. It's just we need to teach them the rules of baseball. What should teams or MLB do about... Wait, I just did that. Why do you think MLB handled the White Sox infield fly situation the way it did? It was the correct call, right? And I hope that the video told you why it was the correct call. But it looked awful. Like it was just the worst possible combination of things that you can have. It was a double play that ended the game. And you hadn't seen that call being made for a really long time. They made the rule 10 years ago or whatever, and we just didn't see it ever since. But now we see it in Chicago. And not only do we see it in Chicago, it ends a game at a potential comeback. It looks bad. It's really bad. But it's the correct call by rule. And so MLB knows probably both of those things, that it is the correct call, but it optically looks terrible. So the way to sort of massage that is to say, perhaps the judgment could have been different. And yeah, I suppose so, but at the end of the day, it's still your rule and the call that you want made in that situation based on that Dodgers play from the 2010s. So I think MLB handled the situation the way it did because they didn't come out and say anything. They didn't issue a press release. They didn't do any of that stuff. And we were left pretty much with a few people from Chicago, beat reporters, etc., saying, oh, MLB said this. This person from MLB said this. And the person from MLB is not going to say one way or the other what they said. And I think that's by design, because that way MLB is not throwing the umpires under the bus officially, so the union might not get super upset at them for that, or maybe they will, but they don't have the smoking gun, right? but I think that, they had to say something because it just looked bad, even if it was the correct call by rule. So I think that's why they handled it that way. How early do I have to get to the stadium to be the organist? 7 o'clock game. My call time is 4 p.m. And I usually get there somewhere between 2 and 3. I warm up, I play around, record funny videos. If there's other work to be done, including close call, I'll do that. But yeah, I usually get there 4 to 5 hours before game time, and then I'm out at the end. Like the game ends usually. Hockey's wonderful because you can usually time it, right? You can usually say if it's a 7 o'clock game, 7:08 puck drop, it'll usually end around 9:30, and that's pretty much like clockwork. Overtime might put it to like 9:40 if you have overtime or shootout or something. And I'm usually out of there 10:15. So yeah, long day. It's super worth it though. What else? Let's see. I'm straight. Still enjoy baseball. You're allowed. Since Angel Hernandez is retired, how many ejections did he have prior to his MLB umpiring stats? Oh, ejections prior to his retirement. Let's look this up together, shall we? Now that I can figure out how to change scenes. Retrosheet.org, if you don't know, is this wonderful resource that tells you a whole bunch of statistics. And it has career statistics including, and I don't know if it's because I asked them to do it or not, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, ejections. Angel Hernandez finished his career with 98, and if you count that spring training one, it's 99, right? So yeah, it's pretty good career for anyone. It's just attached to a very infamous name, so to speak. All right, let's see. Do I have a background as an umpire or just an enthusiast? Yes, I was an umpire. Actually, there was a time when I played baseball back in the day, and I always find it funny when I look at some of these comments that we get on this channel, and I talked about it with Tim in one of the AMAs from last year, and I still have like 2 AMAs in the can to put out for this year, but I talk about it, that some of the comments are very, let's just say, not friendly, and the common one is like, go talk about softball, like women shouldn't be in a man's game, that sort of thing. And it usually gets to a point where they say, someone will think they're creative and say, you should have actually had to have played the game in order to comment on the game. And it's like, I played the game. I did. Anyway, I umpired, I got hit in the head, I got stretchered off the field, hospital. This is all in Cooperstown, by the way. And that sort of, that was the beginning of my, I transitioned officiating wise. I officiate basketball because I thought, I'm not going to get hit in the head in this sport, so I'm okay. Because I thought concussion risk, I already have one. It was really bad. I don't want to chance anything. Because I'm not going to the major leagues or anything like that. And so I did basketball because I thought it would be safer. And then, of course, I'm a varsity official because I do high school. But because of the officiating shortage, I came in and I did a girls' freshman game, and leave it to me doing the girls' freshman game to get hit in the head, because like a good official, I am looking where the ball is going to go, as one does, not realizing, of course, that these kids might not know how to play basketball as much as I thought. And so the pass ended up at my head and I was looking that way. So, all right. Do the Mariners or Giants have a rules consultant? I wish I knew. Do you think the MLB should expand the calls that can be challenged? Yes, absolutely 100 times over. Yes, I am going to pull up this Let's Fix Replay. Tim, T-Mac, but I call him Tim because that's his name, did in 2017 wrote an article about fixing replay and a few suggestions. How can we do that? And one of them, give the crew chief a microphone. Manager gets 2 challenges. Challenge must be immediate. So obviously we have the microphone now. 2 challenges is what they have in the postseason, but not the regular season. They don't require immediate challenges. They do require immediate hold signals, though. Give the manager a beanbag. Haven't had that, but the hands to the ears, I guess, works. Let's replay more things. And that's what we've been harping on the whole time is we need to be able to replay more things because we get to we replay something or whatever, and all of a sudden it's like not reviewable, and everyone's upset. Now you can't review things like check swings because there's no rulebook standard for a check swing in MLB. But like those like that foul ball that hits the dirt versus going straight into the catcher's glove, foul tip versus foul ball, that needs to be a reviewable play. It's not, it should be. Because there's really no controversy involved in reviewing that. There's no judgment call to make. It's either the ball bounced or it didn't. I've asked this question before, but not sure if you ever saw it. If a ball is bunted so hard it is vaporized or otherwise rendered non-existent, is the batter awarded a ground rule double or a foul ball? So this is a this is one of those, oh my gosh. I feel like there was a rule book thing about the ball coming apart during play, and I'm trying to remember what it said, and I believe that the answer is effectively that the umpires use their best judgment. So thank you so much, News Van, for the I think they're called super things, right? Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, I believe that is an umpire judgment call. Vaporized though. Wow. Hi. You remember he did a video comparing MLB to NHL, but a hockey official, it was very good. You ever have plans to do other sports content in the future? I would love to. It's just about time, right? The problem is, especially baseball season, they play every day. The off days, so to speak, are Mondays and Thursdays, but that's not an off day across the board. That's a reduced schedule. So when I'm doing my work for CCS, I know that Mondays and Thursdays are my lesser days, but chances are that's the day that the brawl happens in, some big city. So the only time I had off, and I remember when I was working for the Dodgers back in, must have been before 2014, someone asked me, when do you take time off? Like, when do you have a day off? Because I do this, I do the hockey. I mean, I didn't do hockey back then, but I do this. And I have other jobs that I do as well. And it's pretty much the day before the All-Star game, maybe? The All-Star break, pretty much. But I'm trying this year to take some more time for myself. It's really hard because I said, like, when this copyright fiasco happened, that I'm going to do claims, like I'm going to take some time off because of these claims are just stressing me out and it's really hard. And then of course that night I did another video because that's just what I am used to. So yeah, I would love to do other sports. It's just the problem is I need time, Like I know hockey. I'm the rules person on our entertainment crew. That's what I do. Do I know how the umpire's base assignments are determined for game one of a series? Well, you're talking about regular season, right, Jordan? I would assume if it's regular season, they just pick up wherever they left off, right? So obviously your rotations are home plate, you go to third, second, first, home, and so on and so forth. But let's talk about like a crew goes on vacation, comes back, or we're setting a rotation for the first time, regular season only. It's talking about. The crew chief actually can have say in that to a certain extent. Like if it's an entire crew that's coming back, that's usually that's what can happen. But if it's one person coming back, they'll usually crew chief can put to their discretion can put them on a base that is not, they don't want to put them on the plate the first game back or anything like that. Same thing with minor league call-ups. And double headers, the fill-in usually will take one of the bases. Like they'll call up a minor league person for that game. They'll take a base and then they'll go back down. Okay. Why don't any MLB broadcasts have ump in the booth or something similar to quick rules explanation instead of announcers getting it wrong 99% of the time? Because they realize they don't have to. That's my best guess. Apple TV has been doing that. I mean, provided that you're actually able to watch the game. Apple TV's been doing that, where Dale Scott or I think Brian Gorman, Ted Barrett was doing that. They'll have those guys, but that's Fridays, and that's only for people who subscribe to Apple TV Plus. Or like me, am doing the free trial and then have to cancel before the renewal date so I don't get charged for it because I don't want Apple TV. Is organist a type of doctor? Sure. Lindsay, I'm very happy to hear that MLB's copyright troll has reversed the claims. I'm very happy that John Boy gave you a shout out. It's well deserved. Keep up the good work. We all love you. Thank you so much. That's so nice. I was very happy to see that clip from John Boy's podcast, and like, because obviously he's, we talk about sometimes how how their channel doesn't necessarily focus on rules, because they don't. They are they're more entertaining. They are much more entertaining than me. They do a very good job at that, but they don't do rules, and I do rules, and I just don't do as good a job at entertainment. Everyone has their strengths, and it's nice to have a community of baseball creators that aren't necessarily trying to cutthroat compete with each other. Although one of us happens to be doing that, and I don't like it, but that's not for me to decide. So I'm very appreciative of Jimmy's praise, and he does a wonderful job on his channel. And I love when I read a comment here where people are talking about my channel versus his channel. Not because of we're pitting them against each other, but I love them when the reply to that is, I come to CCS for the rules. I go to them for the lip reading and entertainment. I come to CCS for the rules. I love that arrangement. That is wonderful. Support him, support me. It's wonderful. Thank you. How difficult has it been to remain positive despite the recent struggles of the Ducks? I have a job that is a dream job. I love my job. And whether this team wins or loses, my crew in entertainment, our entire department does a wonderful job game in, game out. I work with some of the best people in sports. And it's not difficult to remain positive when I'm with them and they make coming to work so much fun, and our fans make coming to work so much fun. I do, like when the players do their warm-ups before the game, 15-minute clock, I come down from where I am and I do my stretching, and then I've taken to do a little, like I run down the aisle, I run up the aisle, I go around the top section of the bowl, and I see people, and some people want to talk, and I love talking to them, and how can you not have fun doing that? So win or lose, sometimes, as we say, when we get super frustrated, when we have an element planned, but then something hockey related happens, I say, this hockey game's getting in the way of our show. I would love to see more wins, but it's not the end of the world if I don't, because we have such a fun time and the fans are so great, and my coworkers are wonderful too. Why does baseball have two broadcasts, home and away? It makes the excuses for a call. Well, I get it, but people like their broadcasters. Like, I grew up with Vin Scully, and I would hate if, and part of it was that it's such a treasure because he's a Dodgers guy, and I wasn't necessarily a Dodgers fan, but I was a baseball fan, and he just happened to be the local guy. And I think that you need home announcers. Everyone needs home, and even if they get the rules wrong, you need someone on your side, even if they're trying to be neutral. And really, Vinny was one of the only people who's day in, day out neutral when he did his job. Like, now they're homers for sure, but I think it's important for each team to build a brand, so to speak, with broadcasters, and that's why I think they have multiple broadcasts. The Texas Rangers have replaced ballpark organ with techno-synth and electric guitar. Your thoughts on that? Yeah, Dustin Tatro had been recording like organ stuff. They'd been using his organ stuff for I don't know how many years at this point, but prior to this season, they just stopped. And they also they made several programmatic changes. That's just one of them. It sucks. It's not cool. It is totally not cool for any team to get rid of live music, or even just the traditional organ, like something that is created by a person, even if it's let's say the play button is hit a little bit after. It's not cool to get rid of these types of things. They replaced the seventh inning stretch. Picture this, fans of every other team. They replaced the seventh inning stretch organ with a guitar, and a pretty bad one at that. And it's not live or anything. It's just the same recording game after game and all of this. And it's like, it's awful. what they did to him is deplorable. And I already don't like the Rangers. New York, I like the New York Rangers, but I don't like the Texas ones because, well, they're the only team in baseball that doesn't have Pride Night, so I don't like them for many reasons. But yeah, when I always find it funny, I read the comments, people are like, you Yankees fan, and I'm like, I don't like the Yankees. And in the same breath, someone else will be like, you Red Sox fan, or back when the Red Sox were actually good, they would say that. And it's like, no, I'm not a fan of any particular baseball team. My only sports fandom is Anaheim Ducks. That's it. So it's always funny to read those comments. Let's see. I only watch NFL, but it's a fair point. I love these back and forth. I just am looking for the questions here. I'd like to hear again, Newsman. Thank you so much for that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on immediate and long-term future of baseball officiating. How do you see technology impacting umpires and overall game in the coming years? Well, they keep trying to do this robo-zone, right? Electronic strike zone. Then they realize the technology's not quite there, so they can't do it. Manfred just put out, like, just a month, like this past month, he was like, yeah, we're not getting robo-umps next year. Because of the technology. We've been saying the technology's bad for a long time. Like, Hawkeye in tennis, you're looking for a ball hitting somewhere on the court. That's not as difficult as trying to track a ball through a 3D space. And not just a 3D space, but relative to a batter who has variable height that changes every pitch, theoretically. It's really hard. I have no doubt that they're going to get some sort of technology going. I like the challenge system because it gets it to a point where the umpire, by and large, most of their calls can continue doing their thing. But if someone wants to look at something that's they think is flat out wrong, they can do that. I like challenge system. I don't like fully automated strike zone because fully automated strike zones has some really weird misses, and it also misses pitches too. I was one of the umpires who was doing one of those fully automated games back when they were testing in the Atlantic told me about their experience and said Lindsay, it's more stressful to do this type of a game, just a normal game, because they know that the electronic strike zone is going to say ball or strike on every pitch, but sometimes the tracking system can't see pitches or it blatantly messes up, and they're supposed to override it if it blatantly messes, like a pitch in the dirt and it says strike, obviously a ball. So they say it's more stressful because they don't know if the thing is going to work or not each pitch. Because if they're if they're in the squad and the pitch comes in and they're like, they hear nothing, they have to put their own call in based on what they saw, and it reverts to the human element. So it's stressful because they have to call every pitch, but only some of them get called out loud. Most of them stay up here, and the robot voice tells you what to call. So I don't like fully automated. So let's see. Thank you so much. Nationals manager just got tossed. Oh my, that's so bad. That's so bad. Okay. Does it check swing hit by pitch? This call again. Every year we have just a bank of similar calls that result in controversy. So check swing hit by pitch. That was Council's, except it wasn't really a check swing, but a similar story. That should be, everything in that situation should be reviewable, except for the check swing. Did he go or not? Question. And that's probably what Davey got tossed about, right? Thank you so much for. Thank you to Carwood Be It Bear and Florida Man and you know all these are so nice. So everyone's so nice. Do you think NFL has less copyright strict rules if you do NFL rules? I have no idea what NFL stuff is. I mean, as we know, I'm doing fair use content, so theoretically I should be okay. But then again, MLB did what it did apparently, or their contract, whatever happened copyright wise this past week or two. I don't know. I really don't know the inner workings of it, but I should be okay with it because this is just fair use stuff. I'm just talking about the rules, not like broadcasting the whole game or anything. Um, Kevin Cash is gone too. Why? Enjoy the PWHL jailbreak rule. What is that? Is that the rule about the penalty kill goal, or is that some? I mean, I wish I knew the rule book for that league more because I love PWHL. I wish they would come to the West Coast. I understand why they're not out here yet, but I would so love to go to one of those games if it was out my way. I like their rule about the power play, penalty kill, even like the different strength dynamics and being able to end a power play or whatever based on a goal. I like what they're doing. I love that the referees wear purple bands as opposed to the orange because the league color is purple. Awesome. Not even you two. She didn't choose that life. Life chose her. Yeah, that's where I am. I'm just doing injections all the time now. Other sports don't have this problem, and I MLB. Yeah, sure. I think a short. I think it was short. Yeah, shorty. Okay, cool. That is the jailbreak rule. Thank you. Dinner Bloom is here. So this is one of my friends that I get to see after Ducks games, and he's very nice, and he does photography, and he's a wonderful person. Anywho, how do umps and refs get to different cities or games? Are they flying commercial? Yes. Are they allowed to take a +1? I'm not sure. Is this something that they schedule or is scheduled for them? I know that there is a company that is used for this. Obviously, they're all doing first class. I have to think that by the time that Angel retired, he must be like platinum status or, whatever the top status is on whatever airlines and stuff. But yeah, they are frequent flyers, but they do get to, obviously they get to go first class. I think the only year that they did charter for the umpires was when they combined them with the team during the COVID season. And I remember hearing from one of them that or not here, how a certain crew would stay with a team for multiple series. And that's how that happened. They would fly on their charter. Which was really funny when when an umpire would eject someone and they'd have a super toe-to-toe conversation or whatever, yelling and all that, but then they're on the same flight. It's hilarious. My question is, would you ever plan on doing a Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 stream? Sure, if there's interest, I'll do anything. Yeah, I started playing Open RCT2 again this year. Because I was told that it might be a good coping strategy for me, and gosh, is it? Yeah, I love that game. I loved it back when I was a kid. I love it now. I actually spoke to John Boy down at Walt Disney World. Oh, fantastic! He seems like a real personable guy too. His family was waiting behind my line for. I didn't even read the part of your comment where he said he seemed like a very personal guy when I said what I said. That's amazing. So I'm glad to hear that that's how he is in real life. He said some super nice things about us the other day, and I was just blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Thank you, Kicking 22. How does MLB pick umpires to be in the replay center? So when MLB added expanded replay in 2014, what they did was, as part of the negotiations with umpires, they added 2 additional crews of 4 umpires each. So 8. So the roster was, before expanded replay, the roster was 68 full-time umpires. The roster is currently 76 full-time umpires because they added 2 full crews of 4 each, 8 umpires, specifically 2 staff replay review. So you'll get to go to different series. You'll get assigned all your different series, your vacations, whatever. And now they basically treat the replay room like another series or city because you're in there the whole week. So that's effectively how it happens. It's part of the rotation. Everyone does it. How do I scroll down on this OBS chat? All right, I'm going to go back and try to find where I am on the YouTube one so I can see. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Kicking. 222 cancel the trial. Yeah, Apple TV Plus. I don't know what they had that show with the soccer one. Anyway, thank you, Dora. And hearing guitars and synth instead of live organ is so weird. You're right, DDR Chad. St. Louis has Jeremy Boyer's the second. Who's the first? Gosh, I know who the first is. Dwayne. I think Dwayne. Maybe. Anyway, they do a wonderful. I mean, I love hearing it. It's great. And that organ sound that they have, it might be a Lowry, is a classic sound. It's wonderful. Chicago Cubs use a Lowry too. White Sox use an Atelier like I do in Anaheim. Ray's head coach just got tossed for arguing a high strike call. Interesting. Thanks. Interesting thing. So Cash is gone about balls and strikes. What else is new? But interesting thing. And I've said this in videos and have people correct me because I'm just so used to doing pro. In pro, we call them managers. In college and high school, we call them head coaches. Just a small. I get yelled at for saying manager in college when I do a college thing, so I have to watch that. Like if I misspeak ever so slightly in one of these videos, I get yelled at. But like someone will say, "You didn't say this," or "You didn't account for this rule," or like aliens could come in and touch the ball and like do multi-ball. You should have talked about that, you know? So I have to be very careful when I speak in these videos because people really hang on whatever I say and they're like, no, that's not right. Have you watched any of the NHL playoffs? Yeah, I'm pulling for New York at this point, quite frankly. Number one, for me to pull for a team for the West means I have to have because my team's in the West. There has to be a reason. I wanted Vancouver. I really like Vancouver because I have a friend, one of my best friends likes Vancouver, and if he likes it, that's good enough for me. But they got bounced, and for the Edmonton-Dallas series, I am super conflicted. I wish both of them could lose. And for the Rangers and Panthers series, I know Florida's up three games. They could clinch tonight, but I want New York because I like them better. Although, funny story, don't tell my cousin this because my cousin is very distant cousin. He is the public address announcer for the Florida Panthers. His name's Andrew. And he and I came into the league at around the same time in 2015. We have the same last name. And our teams, Ducks and Panthers, both came into the league in 1993. How about that for coincidences? Okay, what is my thought on Baseball Doesn't Exist? I haven't seen it. Baseball Doesn't Exist's recent Angel Hernandez video. I don't know. I should probably watch that. 6 horrible calls by the ump in the Baltimore versus Rays game. Cash rightfully thrown out. Okay, so this is probably going to be a quality of correctness, not correct call. QOCN, so to speak. Looking forward to analyzing that. Not rushing to it right now, though. I'm doing this. Do you think the umpires in bench clearing brawls should have access to video replay ejections? Oh, like to determine who should go away, who should get thrown out and stuff? Yeah, 100%. If you're going to do technology, use it for things like that. They use it to determine who's going to get suspended. So if you're going to use it for supplemental discipline, let someone use it during the game. New York could easily go over that stuff and make decisions and tell the umpires who to throw out. 100% agree with you. Everyone click on like for Lindsay. Thank you, Chris. JT Williams says, how familiar are you with softball rules? Not as familiar as I like. Have you seen the Strike Zone box ESPN has been drawing on the Women's College World Series? Yes. They're drawing badly the Technical National Federation for High School Strike Zone, which is much larger than the NC2A. NC2A, NCAA. I was taught in a basketball camp once not to call it NCAA. I don't know why. Whatever it is. Yeah, I don't. My opinion is electronic strike zone boxes aren't great in the first place, so I'm not surprised by this observation. The fact that seeing that they're using a different level strike zone does not surprise me at all. It's unfortunate. Do I have an opinion on Angel Hernandez retiring? Yeah, he got a bad rap. He's like he did things that made him stand out for maybe not such great ways sometimes. And I'm not talking about the lawsuit. I'm talking about things like calling that lodged ball in Florida when he was the plate umpire, the lodged ball that was out in left center field. Like things like that, which might be technically correct or not. We don't know. We actually didn't have a good angle for that. But as the plate umpire. And so it's just little things like that sort of got him a reputation. Of course, the lawsuit, I think the lawsuit, and you might disagree with me, I think the lawsuit made a lot of people dislike him more because people don't like when things like racism are pointed out. Like, baseball has a problem. Like, I that's something like a lot of sports do. Not just baseball, but like hockey does too. And there have been some incidents, in all of the sports, really. And I think that Angel's lawsuit was very important because it uncovered something that is systemic in this sport. And perhaps it was the wrong umpire to file that suit, as in maybe his statistics weren't super high and couldn't make the case such a slam dunk, so the court threw it out because his statistics were average-ish. But if you had, like, I'm looking at other umpires who had better statistics as Angel, like Alfonso Marquez had better statistics. If he filed that lawsuit, I don't know what happens. But I think that because it's Angel, he's okay with being that lightning rod. And I think he did a service to the game by filing that. It was just, there were very meritorious claims. There was a lot that definitely was of substance. It's just for that particular umpire to do it, I think a lot of people got bogged down in the who is this guy rather than let's look at it at a macro level. So my opinion on Angel retiring is he got a bad rap. He did some great things. He did some questionable things, but like mostly not on the field. Off the field, he didn't do questionable things. On the field, sometimes his calls were right, but off the field, he's all accounts that I've ever heard, people have always spoken positively of him off the field. So really remarkable career, notable in whatever direction you take it. Check out the strikeout wild pitch in the top 3 of today's Orioles games. I've never seen it before. 1 inning. Oh, wait. You said top of 3. Sorry. I wonder what happened. Couldn't the ump be given the option to check close calls themselves? No shame in saying that's close. Let's check. Oh, like have like one of those NFL style sideline hoods for the like the hood camera or whatever they call it for the referee. Have it for the base umpire or something. I'm not opposed to that idea. I don't like it because I just, I think it would kind of ruin the game, like in terms of game flow, but I've also said, let's review more things. So I don't hate it. I just think that it invites more ammunition for people who just want to disagree for the sake of disagreeing because the call went against their team. I'd be for a static strike zone, writes Eric. Heights of batters vary about 12 inches. It should be straightforward to mandate a 6-foot size strike zone for everyone. Yeah, I can see that. I think part of the charm of baseball is it's tailored for people, like no matter what your size is, there's a strike zone for you that is custom for you. I like that feature, but you're right, that feature also makes it so much harder to electronically and physically as a human being behind home plate to track the strike zone, vertically speaking. So I understand where it's coming from. It would require a fundamental change to the game. I always wonder how ump scorecards will sometimes not publish a game's data because they're missing 5+ pitches. How can so many be missing? So I talked about this a little bit before. Sometimes the computer just misses pitches. Like Joe West had a quote on this a few years ago about how it missed like 20 some odd pitches in whatever game he was talking about. And that's totally not unusual. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it'll miss entire innings. It could be a calibration error. It could be a light balance thing. It could be it confuses the ball and the bat. I'm not even kidding. The cup of the bat versus the ball, the computer can see as the same thing because, it's similar. Um, and it won't know which one to track. That's why a lot of the tracking will do the location of the ball X number of feet, usually 10 to 20 feet in front of home plate, and then sort of project where the ball would have gotten based on all the other variables, spin rate and all that, based on its capture point in front of home plate. And they do that to avoid that issue of confusing it with the batter or the bat or whatever. It misses pitches, and that's why fully automated zones are so stressful, is because it misses pitches and the umpire always has to be ready to jump in and say, oh, strike or ball or whatever. Happy Pride from Zurich. Thank you, Joel Freak. Today is June 1st. I remember that not last year, 2 years ago, this happened on, I think it was on this YouTube channel. And it might have been it was on the Twitter account, 100% the Twitter account. So, Close Call Sports, we have the black and white logo, right? And for Pride Month, I do the rainbow logo. And I remember getting so bombarded with hateful messages, especially on the Twitter one, that I just internally said, all right, for every new hate message, I am going to keep this Pride logo up an additional week past the end of June. And it was so many hateful messages that the Pride logo never came down. That's just the world we live in. How did you get the umpire jacket to my right? eBay. Back in the day, eBay. This was like $100-something, and I was like, I want that. And I don't see them too much on eBay anymore, but they used to have these a lot. A lot of them are actual like retired umpire memorabilia these days. So yeah, check eBay. Check I don't know where else on the internet. Etsy. I don't know where they would have it. With Angel Hernandez retired now, who's the biggest dumpire now? Oh, you're not gonna like. I don't want to get in trouble. We all have our opinions. I know what my do not ever eject anyone like this ejection for this season is, but I don't know about dumpire in general. Let's see. Carlos Correa suggested last month that having umps share use of PitchCom might help them with calling balls and strikes. Do you think that would be helpful for umpires? That's a fascinating question, E. Gabriel. I pilot it. Arizona Fall League. That is the time that they do experiments. The Arizona Fall League. Definitely an idea. I don't think it'll ever happen, but it's such an idea. I remember back when they were talking about the whatchamacallit? Quest Tech, 2003. Before they did Quest Tech, they were talking about doing an umpire training thing, like a simulator. The Dr. Grant Sechrist or someone in I think it was the U.S. Navy, had developed some umpire training thing that was similar to what fighter pilots do when they go flying, like virtual reality. I mean, these days we just say it's VR and it's ho-hum. Back then it was really, really cool. And so he's like, hey, I'll give this to MLB for free or whatever. And MLB was like, we don't want it. We want an umpire evaluation tool, not an umpire training tool. So, yeah, it's been going on for quite a bit. Let's see. Oh no, the thing keeps jumping on me and I don't know where I am. Here we go. Are you a pro recorder player? No, this is I'm a high school recorder player. You take a band class or some music theory. This was actually from AP Music Theory. You take a music theory course in high school, they give you a recorder. What's up with the podcast? When's it coming back? Last retirement is the last episode 4 years ago. As soon as Tim wants to bring it back, we're going to bring it back. Tim is absolutely wonderful, and I think that like my next live stream on this channel, I want to see if we can get Tim in here too. We might have to do it, via Zoom. I don't know how the technology works per se, but I definitely want to get Tim in here too, because he does a lot of wonderful stuff. He charts the replay stats, and he's really on top of that as well. Plus, on top of all of his other obligations, working games and calling games, because he's a wonderful broadcaster too, in the Northeast. And so yeah, it's just a matter of Tim and I having time to do it. But he, in his pregame for these podcast interviews, he writes pages and pages of notes. Like, this is the most prepared person I have ever seen for like anything. Tim is 100% wonderful, and I love him. So yeah, I would love to continue that. Why hasn't there been a pro softball league? The college games are legit exciting. Maybe it'll happen in the future. I don't know. I mean, the women's hockey league took off, so it's only a matter of time. Just has to be marketing, I guess. What's your favorite ballpark? I remember I went to Fenway with my dad years ago, because I had never been, and we went during a day game, and it felt like such a, like, this is what old school 1920s baseball must have been like. It was so amazing. I really liked Fenway. I want to get to Wrigley. Never been. My ballparks that I've been to are LA, San Diego, Anaheim, San Francisco, Oakland. Imagine if I said Oakland was my favorite park. Boston, New York, the old stadium, New York, the new Yankee Stadium. I don't think I've been to Mets. Baltimore. I think that's it. Out of those, I would say Fenway. Yeah. This Yankees fan, biased Yankees fan, says Fenway's the best. I find it so amazingly dumb that MLS has 2 VAR video assistant referees, officials at every single game instead of a shared replay room like MLB. Such a waste of money and personnel. That's the exact reason that MLB has a replay center instead of doing a replay official at every game, because that's to save money. That's exactly the reason. Robert writes, do not forget to hit the like button. I am so, like, thank you so much for, like, pumping me up. That's awesome. Can't remember the season, but Votto made a commitment to not get ejected as much, and anecdotally, it seemed like he kept his word until the last game of of his career, or whatever it was, right? Maybe he did that for old time's sake. It looked like everyone during that ejection was having a fun time. I wonder if the data supports this. Yes, it does. Up until that last game of his. Yes, which I think, again, maybe he did on purpose. It looked like everyone was having too good of a time for it to not have been at least something, right? Do you like the DS9 baseball episode? That's Deep Space Nine for Star Trek. We did a video in, I'm not even kidding. We used to have a series called, like, basically, I don't know what it was called, but I did, like, I would show, like, movies or TV shows of baseball stuff. Like, I did the Naked Gun baseball scene. I did DS9's baseball episode. I did King of the Hill softball episode. Tim did Yes Dear, where we would just watch this and we would analyze the baseball. Like, it was so absurd. It's like, the umpire's not going to wear a backwards hat, or, whatever it was. So yeah, the DS9 baseball episode, I love it. Any popular culture thing that's baseball or hockey or sports related, I'm gonna like it. It's not difficult, right? Make sure you watch Severance before you cancel Apple TV. Noted. Hello from Australia, Tubes. Hi from LA, California. There is a women's pro fast pitch league. That, again, marketing, because that's the only way people know about it, I guess. Hello, Lindsay in chat. I enjoy your channel, and I've learned more about the game I love. Thank you so much, Chicago Mike. Max Imans writes, hello from Israel. Shalom, ma shlomcha. Chicago Mike writes, diehard Cubs fan here. How do you feel about the council ejection, right? Oh no, the thing keeps jumping on me. Multi-ball, yes. I would watch. Oh, it's a reply, and I have no idea. I'm not. Every time I do something like this, or a Patreon thing, or a Discord thing, I feel like I'm learning technology for the first time. I feel like I've reached that age where I'm telling kids to get off my lawn, I suppose. My problems with the four teams left. Edmonton don't want. Oh, hockey. Edmonton don't want to win because there's such a delay. Don't want to win because Canada. Canada has not won a Stanley Cup since the Ducks came into the league. By the way, that's like 1992. I think was their last cup. So yeah, I'm all in favor of shutting out Canada for another year. Uh, Larry asks, with the 3 foot rule for out of the base path, does the 3 feet mean all of the body? 3 feet out of the path, any part of the body out of the blah blah blah. So when I do a diagram for a 3 foot, and it's tough to convey it on a two-dimensional picture, a 3D concept, and I like the line that I had drawn for base path on that play in St. Louis, Chicago St. Louis play, where he got called for out of the base path. I drew the line because I was like, he had his foot mark, like there was an actual divot in the dirt, and I was like, okay, that's where the tag attempt was. That's where I'm going to start the base path line. So I drew a direct line, and people thought, especially on Facebook, people thought that I was drawing a line between second and third base, and it's like, dude, no. This second, third base is like here. The line that I drew goes here. So it's really hard to convey a 3D concept using 2D. That said, center of gravity, that's usually what I go at, like the midsection. That's usually what I would consider for the 3 feet part. If that if that area goes more than 3 feet away from their base path, then they're to avoid a tag attempt, then they're out of the base path. MLB needs to hire you to do reviews for them. I'd like it. I think I'd like it, but then how would I talk to all of you? Zach, the Pens fan, is spoiled because some hockey teams are really good. I thought Angel was good at balk calls. Eric Weeks, me too. Angel, Bob Davidson, like you might not like it, but some people really know their balks. And then there are other umpires. I forgot the retired umpire that gave the quote about how he didn't call balks because he didn't know what a balk was or something like that. Every umpire has their strengths, right? Every umpire on a crew has a strength, and that's that crew of four. You really rely on each of the umpires for their strengths. Like I know that the Bellino crew, and this was even before he became a chief, he's the rule book guy. Like you have to have umpires on crew where their strengths in different situations. Some people are going to be wonderful game managers and personality managers. Ted Barrett would be wonderful at that. But when it comes to certain other calls, another umpire might be wonderful at that. So they really play off each other. And yeah, Angel was good at balk calls. All right. Does Charlie Relaford like you? I have no idea. I agree the 2D box drawn on the screens deserves the 3D strikes in above the plate. Yeah, JT. On our Discord, Avon Dice, who's been working, he's been just doing this remarkable script about getting the visualizations for the strike zone, has been working super hard on the 3D version of that, and it's amazing, and I really should use it in more videos. And join our Discord to see it, because it's available to everyone. It's amazing. Check the pins. It's in the baseball umpiring channel. It is pinned. Junior Valentine, I'm not going to read that. Let's see. When are you going to the majors? When the Angels hire me. I don't know. We need to do a writing campaign. I think it's the current ownership that just doesn't want me or something. I don't know. All right. What do you think as a keyboardist of the Osmos Expressive E MPE controller? Don't know it. I wish I could tell you more. I have a green screen in front of it. I just have like an M Audio standard MIDI controller. And then this is a Roland V Combo VR09. I have to look at it. It's and it has all the Roland Atelier, like the actual stadium organ sounds in it. I just had to hack into the system to access those sounds, but don't tell anyone. As a Cubs fan, I was all G-Rock asked, "Are you still umpiring?" I'm not on the field. No, I'm doing basketball. I officiate basketball now. uh, less chance of concussion. Chicago Mike writes, as a Cubs fan, I was always wondering about the drop third strike that happened in 2017 when Baez's backswing hitting the catcher. Was that supposed to be a dead ball instead? I wish I remembered the play. If the backswing hits the catcher, it's a dead ball. It's inadvertent backswing contact. What levels have I worked in basketball? I work high school these days. I've done like all ages. I've done. I remember. I used to do actually. God, this must have been 10 years ago at this point. Well, whenever the Olympics down in, I think it was Rio, was the Chinese team had come to Southern California. I have no idea why, but they to train for basketball. Like they came here before going there, and I got asked to be one of the referees to do those games. And so there was like a solid 2-week period that summer that, day in, day out, I would be doing the Chinese national team against like some people from the D League or, whoever they were playing. So yeah. And then I've done adult rec. I've done young kids, and high school is my bread and butter. I've done what I found is when I do like retired NBA players for my basketball leagues, those guys are the most chill guys because they have nothing left to prove, or not nothing left, but they've been to the show. They have nothing to prove, so they're just out there having fun. There are some people that are super competitive that never made it to anywhere, and those people can be hard to deal with. But the ex NBA guys that I've done they were the chillest guys on the court, including some NBA guys that are known for, or were known when they played in the league, for being kind of hotheads. They were totally not that way when I did them. But again, different setting, right? Thank you so much for the compliments, Hardly World. Let's see. Do I cheer for any baseball team, MLB or otherwise? Hockey, Ducks. That's it. What are your thoughts on Canada? Have you ever been? Canada's beautiful. I've been to, I think Vancouver area is the only place that I've been, like BC. I want to get to the other side though. I want to see like what I want to see what like Montreal and as much as we make fun in hockey of Ottawa, Toronto, and all of that stuff. But yeah, I've only been to BC. I have no appetite to go to Alberta at all. Sorry, Edmonton and Calgary. Let's see. Yeah, PWHL, the Women's Hockey League, free on YouTube. It's amazing. And if you haven't seen it, totally second Leafs dude's recommendation. Watch it. PNC Park, says Zach in Pittsburgh. I have a friend in Pittsburgh that I really want to see her on one of these summer trips that I do, because I go to Maine every year to see my dad who lives there. And Maine is beautiful. I love Maine. We go to a Sea Dogs game in Portland, and they have like a junior Green Monster there because they're a Red Sox affiliate, AA in the Eastern League. And I think that Green Monster is actually taller than the Fenway one, but they call it a junior one. It's a really nice place. But yes, PNC Park. I really want to get to Pittsburgh. It looks beautiful, especially on the river. We know broadcasters generally don't know the rule book, say all sorts of inaccurate things. What rules do professional umpires get wrong most often? Thank you for the channel and what you do. Pacific Coast Trains asks. Let's see. What rules do professional umpires get wrong most often? It has to be super thorny situations because people know the rules for the most part. I don't usually see umpires get rules wrong. We can talk about judgment, but I don't see them get like rules wrong, right? I wish I could answer, but I just don't remember umpires getting rules. Actually, not true. The last time that MLB upheld a protest, that since COVID, you're no longer allowed to protest games because their idea is, we just go to the replay center and we can solve it right on the spot. But the last protest that they upheld was a rain delay in Chicago where the crew ended up like calling the game or something and the team that lost, maybe it was San Francisco, protested and said they shouldn't have called the game because it was the Cubs grounds crew's fault that they couldn't get playing again because the rain shower had passed and the field was flooded. And so MLB agreed and it's like, yeah, technically you're right by rules. And now, of course, they've changed the called games rule. So nearly everything is now a suspended game. So they would have played it anyway. All right. Have you ever thought about doing a collab with John Boy? Sure. I don't know. I have no idea how any of that works, but yes. I think he's a real, like, he's done really good things for baseball, and I'm a little fish in a big pond, but yeah. Okay, let me just tell you, Leafs do. Let me tell you my story of the Oakland Coliseum. I was a kid. I gone there. We sat in center field, and we couldn't see like half the outfield. Like we only could see second base and to home plate. We couldn't see anything behind that. That's my Coliseum story. That's about it. Let's see. Citizens Bank. I've been to Citizens Bank Park. Yes, that's another one I've been to. I There's certain places I like going and sitting up high so you can see everything. That's one of them. Yeah, okay, 93 Montreal for the last cup. Cool. Ballpark Franks just popped in to show support. Thanks for having such an informative, enjoyable channel. Absolute asset to the game. Go Phils. Thank you. Dan means MLS has all their VAR centralized in Arlington now. They just assign 2 VARs per game. That's awesome. It's funny because I have friends or colleagues that I know, and I just randomly I know people who are like siblings of MLS referees. Yeah, it's like the most random thing. Like, how are my friends just randomly connected to that? I don't. It's the world is crazy, man. What are your thoughts on John Boy's channel? Not as a person, I know he's cool, but just his output reviews. He has some really unique takes on things. I love, like, he just did a thing of Laz Diaz, right? He's like, Laz Diaz made fun of a player's batting average or something like that. Who would have thought to find that, right? I mean, it's like, if you're an umpire, by the way, if you're an umpire, don't do that, first of all. If they're in the pros, they do all sorts of things. But it's like, could you imagine as a high school umpire making fun of a player's batting average? Like, that's a terrible idea. But anyway, John Boy does some really cool stuff. I mean, everyone knows him for the lip reading. I do too, obviously. But yeah, like there's some, like he had Dale Scott in his to umpiring his warehouse games that they play. Like it looked, I don't know if it's glorified wiffle ball or exactly what it is, but that was cool. I'm really impressed with the way he's been able to build that brand and grow that company. Do we do? Let's see. Where am I? KO'd. Happy Pride, Lindsay. Am I pronouncing your name right? Thank you so much. And same to you. Dayton Ekblad. I was in Anaheim when the Stars played the Ducks. I asked to see you, but didn't hear from anyone. Send me a message on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or, wherever, or even just, my email address. It's just my first name, last name @gmail.com. Not hard at all. Just ask me. It's the easiest way. I want to thank you personally for helping me become a better umpire. Thank you, Dayton. Nate says Kotze ejected in Atlanta. I hate baseball sometimes. I absolutely hate baseball sometimes. Wow, that's kind of annoying. Ejections stress me out, honestly. Like, I just get so like, who caused this? And then I look at it and I'm like, I'll get mad at the manager. Sometimes I get really mad at the umpire for doing a stupid ejection that didn't need to happen. And I just hope that all 3 of these are something that I can knock out. Like, I'm not going to be able to do them all today because I'm doing this, and I'll do 1 or 2 today and then the other tomorrow. I just don't like days where you have ejections upon ejections upon ejections. And baseball is unique in that it does that because everyone plays every day for the most part. All right. San Diego County Baseball Umpire Association. Oh, awesome. So you're just south of us. I recommend John Boy's Watching Guts, says Zach, series on their secondary channel for 90s kids, Nickelodeon Guts. He does like analysis of Nickelodeon Guts. I remember. I loved that show. Oh my gosh. And it's like, but this was before my referee egg cracked, and I was like, I want to. Wanted to be Mo, with the whistle and the stripes. Ah, memories. Um, Zach says Kevin Cash got rejected, but I was on the phone, so I missed why. I love the typo when ejection turns into rejection. I think it was balls and strikes. JMS F32. Hey Lynn, good to see you. Would you say a love of sports led you to liking rules and regulations, or vice versa? Combination of a love of sports, my parents' divorce. Officials get into, we're power hungry, aren't we? Right? No. I just want to make sure that everyone has an equal opportunity. I think fairness is important, even if the rules, if the game can't be fair all the time. I think that it's important to try to apply equal footing to everyone in a certain way. That's all you can ask for, I guess. Cube Expert went to the Pacific Women's Hockey League Finals Game 5, and it was absolutely electric. It's definitely worth the hype. Awesome. So jealous. Fat to Scratch, thank you for the super thanks. Matt, Aerith, PNC Park, so beautiful, especially at night. Yeah, don't get me super jealous. Mike P, don't know why you or anyone would willingly come to Connecticut. But if you ever come here, Duncan Park for the Yard Goats is actually really nice. Do they still use Brass Bonanza as their home run song? Because that's awesome. I love that song. And we did a collaboration with the other hockey and baseball organists on YouTube. I don't know how many years ago. It's on my personal YouTube channel. We did like a marathon of Brass Bonanza. It was a cool project. Let's see. Jordan's asked me about thoughts on Laz and CB Buckner. Laz is entertaining. Like he is such an entertaining person to watch. I think that like as long as you stay on his good side, we're good, right? But like he is one of the old school umpires that if there's an argument, and we saw it with Boone last year, right? He'll give it right back. And the sport has been becoming more sterile as time has gone on. Like ever since the leagues merged in 2000, right? They've tried to make it a more uniform environment, and they don't like that umpire getting in the face of the manager. If the managers they don't like the bill to bill thing the way that they used to. I mean, social media likes it. The people who run their media department probably love it, but I don't think that the office necessarily prefers that. They prefer people just robotic. So Laz is definitely old school in that regard, and it's really nice to see that sometimes. It's just a break from the monotony. CB, I haven't heard much about CB this year at all, so I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but yeah. Jerry Hutchinson, when can we expect the AAA style ball strike challenge system? When can we expect it in the majors? I want to say that this is going to be part of their negotiations in the upcoming CBA. I can't, because the umpire's contract with baseball is up at the end of 2024, December 31st it expires. So theoretically they should be in negotiations right now with MLB about what the new one's going to look like, and I can't think that this is not going to be in there somehow. So I think maybe part of it gets negotiated. I don't know. I'm not privy to that, obviously, so I just have to surmise my best guess. The Gaming Republic, what are your thoughts on these City Connect jerseys teams have in baseball? Some of them are really pretty. I might be in the minority. I like the Colorado one with the mountains, the green. There's some that are really not visually appealing at all. But it's a merchandise push, right? It's another chance for people to buy stuff. I hope fat to scratch. I hope for ejection so we can see close call videos. Yes, but they don't have to happen while I am doing an AMA. Is the pace Traceri, the pronunciation, I love guessing pronunciations on these names. So our PA announcer in Anaheim and I, we do this thing. We do our meeting, we have dinner together, and then after that we go up, and he usually goes to the visiting radio to ask them about the pronunciations for everyone on the team, because as one might, like, there are a lot of European names in there that are tricky to pronounce. So it just reminds me of that. So is the pace of ejections this year abnormal? No, we're at like 100. Well, after these 3 ejections, we might get 190 something. Anything in the 200 range, give or take, is totally normal. Last year was a high year. We had like above 240 or something. This year is back to a more normal rate of between 190 200 ish. And so if it hovers around 200, it's totally normal. Jordan says Aaron Boone must really give you a lot of work. He gives me a lot of views. Owl RTA Sky Dome is the Rogers, yeah, is the MLB stadium nearest me. It's probably not the best stadium. I want to stay in that hotel though, and watch a game. I think that could be fun. I wanted to do that like at Wrigley before they put the scoreboards in the way, but there are probably a few buildings there that can still see in. Leafs Dude says, do you think MLB needs to do something to reduce ejections, or perhaps they think ejections are good for the brand? Publicly, they'll say ejections are not good. Privately, go to MLB's channel. I don't know how it is now, but it used to be that like of their top 20 videos, 10 of them were either ejections or fights or something like that. It's engagement. So yeah, they like it. They just can't say they like it. And plus, they have to play nice with the umpires union and be like, oh yeah, we're standing up for you guys. We don't want you to be abused by them. So they can't say they like it, but I think they like it. They've tried sending memos out mid-season before to say, hey, you're getting ejected too much. Stop doing that. But yeah, it doesn't do anything. They like it. They just can't say they like it. IBJI, should the Pine Tar ejection have been overturned? Oh, wow. This is the Tim McClellan calling George Brett out Yankee Stadium for the Pine Tar. They ended up losing the game due to that call, because instead of the home run, it was an out. And then they overturned it and said, actually, that's not an out. And it stood, and then instead of losing, they ended up winning the game when they replayed it from that point and all that. The rulebook, as currently written, states that using an illegal bat is not enough to call someone out after the fact. You can do stuff after the fact to remove it from play or even eject, but if something has happened, like they hit a home run before you do anything about it, that result stands. That's the rule now. I don't remember what the rule was before. Like 1980s before. Chris Kincaid, do you think the box has ruined people's perceptions of the way umpires call balls and strikes? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because there's no such thing as a game management strike anymore. When it's a 10-0 game and everyone wants to get out of there and the pitch misses by this much and the umpire calls it a strike, the computer doesn't care. It's a ball. So that's just one thing. There's catcher receiving that it's an issue because everyone's pulling pitches like crazy these days. And yeah, the box is wrong also. And that's the other thing, is people accept the box as gospel a lot, and it's just wrong. And we know that, but that doesn't make a difference, for at least on the broadcast. Thank you, Aaron, for the supers. Thank you. Zachariah says, hello, are you in trouble? I've been watching the content, also comment on place injections. Not anymore, it doesn't seem to be. All the claims that were filed this past month are gone. They were released. And I had reached out to Fuzzy, because the same thing happened to his channel, and he was super helpful. And I just hope that going forward, this doesn't happen again. All right. Phoebe, is it possible to play anything besides hot cross buns on the recorder? That's all I know. More than me. I totally forgot how fingering works. I need to work on that. But like I used to be able to actually do stuff. I don't even want to try. I am more of a melodica player in terms of a Blorgan than in terms of a wind instrument. I'm a more of a melodica player than anything with these holes. Because I know how to finger a keyboard, but I don't know how to do that to an actual one of these things. Okay, if I missed Tom Hallion called Third Strikes, Chicago Mike. The mechanic, yeah, that was, I don't want to be his chiropractor. But it was entertaining. The call Third Strike mechanic. That's where the umpires gets to shine, and I love it. James Bond. Oh, thank you for coming, Mr. Bond. Loves the channel. I learned a lot of the rules of baseball. I'm glad. Thank you. John Timpaine's starting to become my favorite umpire for Dayton. Yeah, Timpaine's awesome. He's solid. Timmy did a teachable on Timpaine and Teddy years ago about like a rotation play or something like that, somewhere on the channel. Do I have a favorite MLB umpire? I used to, my favorite used to be Jim Joyce. Then it was Dale Scott. And I have a feeling that if the Portland, Oregon or Eugene, Oregon region happens to turn out another major league umpire, perhaps that will be my favorite. I don't know. It just so happens to be that. I used to really like Mike Riley back in the day. Remember back like the late 90s and the early, before then too, obviously, but that was my time. I really like Mike Riley's style of play too. Style of officiating. I modeled my strike call after him for a while. And then Dale Scott's little delay, the little jab. I really enjoyed that. Let's see. Yes, remove the iPads again. They removed the box on the iPads thinking that would help, but I think that makes it worse because now the players don't know and they just assume the umpire's wrong. Like the box isn't there to tell them, oh, the umpire was right. So they just assume, they can't see it. They assume whatever the umpire did is wrong, whether it is or not. MLB ejections equal fighting in hockey. No, because fighting in hockey gets you a 5-minute penalty, but you're still in the game. Maybe a third man in, right? Or a line brawl. Well, we know what that equivalent is. Owl RTA, you must be glad that John Gibbons isn't a manager now. Why? Because he would get ejected? They have Schneider. He does the same thing. James Billington, sing us a song on the piano. That would be hard. This thing is off. Actually, because I'm on a Mac, I don't know how audio inputs work. But I'm on Spotify. So if like I have stuff there. iTunes, Spotify. Is it iTunes or do they call it Apple Music now? I don't even know. I pay for it and I don't know what it's called. Let's see. Statue, not a question, but I just want to say that you and your channel bring sanity to inconsistencies of baseball. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. John Thomas, umpires are wrong far more than the box. Umpires union is ruining baseball. So that's an interesting point. Like, you're expecting me to ban you. No, I'm not going to, like, that's an interesting thing. That's an interesting point. And the problem is that we don't know. That's the entire issue. We don't know. Because how do you evaluate the umpires being wrong if not using technology? But technology is also flawed. So how do you know who's more wrong than the other? Manfred, he was on a panel with other commissioners for, I forgot what the thing was called. And he was like, yeah, our data indicate that at present, and this was back when he did the panel, that umpires are more accurate than the technology. I don't know if that's still, I think that must still be it. Otherwise we'd have more of a push for robo-ump. But the technology is not there. Otherwise it would be in the league. If it was ready, it would be there. Because the umpires agreed to it in the last CBA. But it's not, because the technology's not. So, I mean, I appreciate that comment in the sense that it's a discussion point, but the whole thing is, how do you know? And the answer is, of course, you don't. Paul Brand, thank you so much for it has like a birthday thing in it with a 1? Is that like a birthday thank you? Happy birthday? I don't know, but thank you. Thank you so much. Um, or does it mean it's your first super? Congratulations and thank you for, I'm so honored to be your first. Um, Real Justice says, how do you feel about the obvious collusion of all team owners to not employ baseball's most popular pitcher, Trevor Bauer? I don't know that situation enough to speak on it, other than to say I don't think that I'm a fan of Trevor Bauer. But again, that's a personal opinion. It has nothing to do with his employability. Because there are many people I don't like in the league that are employable. So I just don't know enough about the situation. I do know that he was, like, regardless of the legal status and all of that, he was suspended from baseball under, even before that, based on just their violation of their policies. Like it might have been the domestic violence policy. I don't rightly recall. But he was suspended by MLB based on their investigation before the criminal stuff. So I don't know what that means. I honestly don't. And because I usually don't stay in player stuff as much. And this is why, because I just am not as knowledgeable as I should be to talk about it. Fat to Scratch, have you ever managed? I have a feeling you'll be contacted soon to be an advisor or source. Your knowledge is unmatched and will pay off soon. Thank you so much for the super nice words. Have I ever managed? Yeah, a fantasy team. There used to be a game, a computer game, where you didn't actually do baseball gameplay. You just managed a team and like made decisions and stuff. So there's actually a mode of, does anyone remember Triple Play Baseball, Triple Play 2000, 99, all that stuff? There was a mode where it was called Manager Mode, and you would just make decisions. Who's pitching based on game situation, who's going to substitute, and what player you're going to call or whatever. So yeah, that's the extent of my managerial experience. I've been like when I was in Little League, the kids, I was a base coach because all the kids took turns, but happy Pride to you too, Judas Nevermore. Gabe Kimmel, why does MLB still limit replay review so much? Pandora's box. There are some situations that unravel, but a lot of it is just, this is the way that they introduced it back in 2014. And think about it, like when they first introduced it and they were making the list in the first place of reviewable, not reviewable. They had to decide on what they wanted to do. And a lot of it is just based on, well, this is how we've done it since then. So I don't know, maybe it needs a whole comprehensive look at it. I don't know. But yeah, there is definitely more there that could be reviewable. I just think a lot of it is like, oh, this is a judgment call. Like obstruction and interference, those things don't need to be reviewable because they are judgment calls. Except for certain cases, like the slide rule or the collision rule at home plate. But, they're check swings, pure judgment. Like, there's no objective standard for a check swing, so what's the point of making it reviewable? There's no basis for to overturn anything. But yeah, there's some things like, again, with that foul tip, foul ball, did it hit the ground or not? I don't see the harm in making that reviewable. It's not, because they set it up initially not to be, and they just never changed it. Which team did I grow up rooting for? I was big time on the bandwagon with the Angels around when Disney owned them and they won the World Series. And after that, like after Disney sold the team, I was just like, I don't have a team. And that's cool. I never had a team. That was the only team I had, really, was the Angels I was a fan of. And now I'm more of a fan of the sport than any teams. Ray, John Boy's cool, you are messed up. He's done a lot. Like, you can think about whatever you want to think about. He's done a lot for all of us who are creators in this field. So it's, I don't want to compare John Boy to Angel Hernandez improperly, but it's like Angel has done a lot. Like, you might not like the guy, but I think he's done a lot for diversity in the sport just by raising the issues he has. And it's I think John Boy's not in the same way or anything like that, but it's like I think he's done a lot for creators and our ability to do our jobs in terms of creating and bringing you content. And I think that anyone who is a I don't know about trailblazer or not. I don't know the history that much, but I think anyone who's opening the door should be at least respected for doing that. And like I don't think like it every so often people change the medium, and I think that that's what happened here, and I think that that's not a bad thing. Thank you, Brody, for the super thanks. You may have answered this already, but do you have a favorite baseball team? I did answer this already, like 2 minutes ago. But again, I get it. The delay in the chat and all that. I understand. Is there an unwritten rule, says John Smith, Boone has to be ejected after a certain number of innings? I hope not. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, Jordan. NHL doesn't. Yeah, same thing with NHL and fights to ejections. Do they publicly like it or not? Right. I mean, there's a website called hockeyfights dot is it org or com? I don't remember, but like that's all they do, and people like it. You vote for who you think won and all of that stuff, and it's pretty sweet. Is there any way IBJI to contact Jane Jarvis's family? Perhaps she kept sheet music that she played for the Mets. Sorry, I don't have any idea. Contact the Mets. Like maybe someone there knows. I don't have any connections. Kevin Kemper, tie goes to the runner. No, rules wise, it's a really complicated story to get there, but yeah, tie kind of does go to the runner, and the only reason that I say that is because it is impossible for a tie to result in an out. Like you look at I did a whole like proof on this years ago, and I don't know where it is, but if you look through the rules and you put them all together and the interpretations and all of that, you'll see that if there is a tie, then you cannot call an out. And if this becomes a logic exercise, right? If you cannot call an out, that means that de facto the runner or whomever must be safe, because if you are not out, you must be safe. So tie goes to the runner, yes, but it takes a lot of words to get there. Okay. Jordan says, would MLBPA have any say over ABS? Yeah, I think everyone has to have a certain level of buy-in. And I don't know where everyone is on that right now, but I think, yeah, Players Union, umpires, I think everyone has to have at least some say on it. Owners, of course. Can you play Yellow Ribbon for us? If I knew how to get this audio work, two things. If I knew how to get the audio working, I'd play, but also I would get copyright claimed for playing that. So, but do on Spotify, if you look me up on Spotify, I did a single for specifically a baseball organ version of Tie a Yellow Ribbon around the old oak tree. So you can look that up. It's there. On the video, Zach writes, on the video yesterday with the guy running third base being chased by the outfielder, was that a tag attempt the whole time, or was the fielder too far away? Oh, for an out of the base path, or I mean, just in general, was it a tag attempt? I don't think there was an actual tag attempt. He was being chased, but I don't think it was a tag attempt because it didn't look like he was trying to put the glove anywhere. He was just running. And I looked at the video, like I saw a lot of your comments that were like, yeah, the third base coach was like, stop, and the guy stopped because the coach said so, and or he was going to stop there anyway, or he's going to look at home or whatever. I get that. The one part that I wish I had put in the video, because I think that this was a high school game, the one part I wish I had put in the video that I didn't, and I do this so often where I just overlook things because my brain does that sometimes. Fake tags, because the catcher did a fake tag, is obstruction in high school. It is not obstruction in college nor in pro, but it is obstruction in high school doing a fake tag. So if it's not obstruction because the catcher's standing in the way, I guess it's obstruction because he did a fake tag. I don't know. Either, like, I was looking at the video more and more, and I realized, because I thought first base umpire surely had gone out for that ball because the plate umpire's staying at home plate, and I thought, well, if he's staying at home plate, that means first base umpire must have gone out because they didn't show first base umpire on the screen until the very end. But then at the very end, I see first base umpire coming in a little bit, and I'm thinking, why would he return to the infield? He was out, and I'm like, wait, I didn't see him go out. So now I'm thinking, well, maybe he didn't go out, and this is just a missed rotation. Plate umpire should have rotated the third, and he just didn't. And the first base umpire was coming down the line because he's expecting the plate to go to third, and the plate never went to third, so he didn't know what to do. And that's bad because you know what that means. Third base is uncovered. So no one would have seen the issue of obstruction or no obstruction there because there was no umpire covering third base in the first place. So, yeah. Yeah, that video. Thank you, James Billington. Happy Pride Month, KT. Maybe I should call it the Pride stream. I don't know. This is not really themed around that, but I wish Happy Pride to everyone who celebrates. Did you ever play Earl Weaver Baseball? This is the first time I've heard of that game, Turbo Dog 42, where one of the features was making Earl mad enough to kick dirt at the umps. I want to play this, but I don't know what it is. Earl Weaver Baseball, noted. Real Justice, check swing should not apply to a third strike. What does that mean? Check swing should not apply to a third strike. Like, this action, here's my baseball bat. This action can happen at any count, including the third strike. So I'm not sure what that question means. I will talk about something called the voluntary strike because I don't know if it's related or not. So a pitch comes in, there's a potential check swing. The first base umpire, third base umpire, whoever it is not going to rule on that until and unless the home plate umpire requests the appeal. Like the catcher can point, but it's not official until the home plate umpire points. And if the catcher points, the home plate umpire is supposed to point too. Just a process. It's just how the process works. The only exception to them waiting for the plate umpire to ask them before opining is on an uncaught third strike where the base umpire will have a strike. And the reason that happens is because the plate umpire is obviously busy with the loose ball. And they want the base umpire to make this signal so the batter knows that they need to run to first base if it's one of the situations where they're allowed to run on a drop third strike. So I know that's totally unrelated, but I wanted to say something about third strikes and check swings. So there you go. Kevin Kemper, why so much gray area in the rule book? I think it's probably so people can improvise. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, weird situations happen, and you just are supposed to use your best judgment to get there. And a lot of it is, honestly, people didn't think of certain things that could happen. Like, when they were creating the rule book, they did not think that we would be going into such detail that we would talk about, well, this part of the baseball was here, but this part of the baseball was here. Like, they didn't think that we'd get that detailed about things. So, you know, or hitting stance, when it comes to a hitting stance for a strike zone, are we looking at the front knee or the back knee or an average of them? It doesn't say. They didn't think we would get so technical or that the technology would be good enough to dissect these things. So they didn't write rules for them because they never thought about them. I think that's part of it too. Dayton, how did you start your collaboration with T-Mac? T-Mac, 10 years ago at this point, probably at least, on the site, saw that there were a lot of not nice comments on the infancy of closecallsports.com, and he's like, "You want to help? Do you want help with moderating these?" And I was like, I had never thought about it. I just thought that nasty comments are something you have to live with, and I was like, okay. So yeah, that's how it started. He just wanted to clean up the comments, and he's just done such an incredible job ever since with everything that he does for us. And like I feel like I like speaking of rules consultants and analysts for being on TV and all that. He would be great for that. Like, dear East Coast baseball teams, please hire Tim because he is so good at everything. Um, all right. Um, Angel Hernandez for Hall of Fame. He's actually in the, I don't know how to pronounce the name of his Florida town that starts with Hil whatever. He's in that Hall of Fame, actually. A lot of umpires are in their hometown Hall of Fames. JC writes about Matt Antonelli. He's so, well, I have thoughts, and I'm not going to say them. Finn Humeyer. Oh God! I see. This is the one of those European names. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that Humeyer. I don't. I'm so. This stump Lindsay with pronunciation. Lindsay, the tie goes to the runner in terms of an expressions under the safe comment. Okay, I like. Yeah, that agrees with my premise. I suppose, it just in a different way. So I appreciate that. Um. Brody says, "Thank you so much for the super, Brody. If you had to choose between never playing music again or never watching baseball again, which would you choose? Never playing music versus never watching baseball. What would you choose? 100% never watching baseball. Music is one of the best things that's ever happened. I mean, the best thing that's ever happened to me is transition, but second is music. And without a doubt, like without hesitation, I would give up baseball to continue doing my music stuff. 100%. I just happen to be good at two things, which is weird. But if I had to choose one, music without a doubt. Sorry, I'm so sorry to disappoint all of you. But if you had the job that I have, you'd understand. Let's see. I'm looking for question marks mostly. If the Terry Robinson asks, if a batter's hand gets hit by a pitch while it is still on the bat, should it be considered a hit by pitch? No, because the reason that I say that, like, it's like obviously the rule says that it's not. Like, the rule says if the pitch hits right here, ow, that hurts. Maybe I shouldn't be slamming it into me. If the pitch hits right here, it's a hit by pitch because it's hitting my hand. But if it hits up here, it hits the bat, then it's a foul ball because it hit the bat first, or a fair ball, depending on where the ball goes. Or if it hits the bat, then it hits my hand, it's a foul ball because it hit the bat first, then it hit me. Or if it hits my hand first, then hits the bat, it's a dead ball for being a hit by pitch because it hit me first, right? But no, do I think that the hand should be considered part of the bat? Absolutely not. And the reason I say that is because it's a very simple reason, slippery slope reason. You go to replay for a review and the ball hits here or here or here, or like, so where is the point on my arm where my hand is no longer my hand? Get what I mean? Like, is this going to be a hit by pitch versus this going to be a foul ball? Where is the delineation point? The wrist? Well, what part of the wrist? What if the ball hits you flush in the wrist? It's too hard. So I have no problem with the current interpretation or the current rule of hand is the hand, not the bat. So yeah, I've just because the other way would be way too difficult to officiate. Let's see. Looking for question marks. Brian Horler. My wife enjoys baseball to the extent of going to a game with me, but is otherwise indifferent. However, she said that today she'd take a bullet for you. Thought you might want to hear that. I think that's so sweet. I mean, I hope it doesn't come. I would hate for that to happen, but oh my God. So Angels, Hialeah. I think that's how it's pronounced, I guess. Or Hialeah? I don't know. I see Eric Weeks and JMSF32 are subsequent comments that are consecutive. And they have alternate pronunciations for the same word. But yes, that's the place. Um, yeah. Uh, yeah, there's a question mark from Gabe Kimmel with no question attached to it. Love it. James, take care. Thanks for hanging out. I'm gonna yeah, like if I don't get out of here, I'm gonna like if I don't at the very latest we're done with this in half an hour, so I can do ejection videos. But thank you for hanging out. Let's see. Yeah. Let's. What would you consider other types of content that don't include baseball clips? Says Mark V. There is a hockey YouTuber with a channel where he talks the sport with a whiteboard and marker, old school style. That's Shannon, the hockey guy. He is a wonderful watch. The hockey guys, they know him in the channel, and it is remarkable what he does. And he came down to Anaheim because he goes, they go to different hockey places. He came down here. I didn't get to see him, unfortunately, because again I had to work, but working during a hockey game. But he did a live stream he did a little live stream video or something, like a recap video from like outside of the team store. It was fun. But I love his channel. The hockey guy. If you're interested in hockey and you're not subscribed to the hockey guy, you need to subscribe to the hockey guy because he's awesome. Okay. And actually, that makes me think of a story. That makes me think of a story. So he comes down to Anaheim because the kids or whatever, they're doing the Disney thing, but we have the Honda Center is like 2 or 3 miles away from Disneyland. We're right down the road. So they could do both, right? As a lot of people tend to do when they come in to, like, Edmonton fans come in. A lot of teams fans come in, do the Disney and hockey experience at the same time. And speaking to that point, in 2000, oh God, when did Bob Davidson retire? It must have been the mid-2000s, or whenever it was. No, it was mid-2015. I don't know. Somewhere, whenever Bob Davidson retired. His last game of the season was in Anaheim. And I think that he had told Tim and I, like, he made it a vacation for the family. They went to Disney, they did the whole thing. And I think, like, and I talked to, like, in NHL too, we have officials, because in the NHL they actually let officials, if they're retiring, they get to choose where they want to retire. Like, I want to work my last game be in this city or whatever. And they get to choose their crew and all that stuff. And we've had people choose to retire in Anaheim because they want to do the Disney trip with the family. So just a fun little thing to think about. Thank you, Brody. One more question. Do you think pitchers intentionally hitting batters should be expelled from the game? If yes or no, why? Like, expelled from the game as in ejected, or expelled from the game as in barred from baseball, right? This is what so it's a really good question about. I'm gonna talk about I don't think they should be expelled from baseball, first of all, but in terms of expelled from the game or ejected from the game, though, this is one of those things where MLB will say they hate it, and the owners will say they hate it because it could hurt someone, and it's definitely 100% true that could happen. But at the same time, it draws engagement. It's another one of those engagement drawing things. So they hate it because it's awful, throwing at people's heads and stuff like that. I mean, it's not just the heads, like throwing at their bodies or whatever too. It's like intentionally trying to hurt someone or whatever. It's bad, but it draws engagement. Totally. I think they should be ejected from the game for that. That's what the rule says right now, and I see no reason to change it. I think that warnings, like the fact that warnings are in, is kind of... I like the trend of what we're seeing with umpires being quicker to throw people out immediately for doing it. Because it used to be you would really only see warnings given for the first one of those offenses in a game. And now we're seeing more and more umpires going straight to an ejection. And I really like that. Because warnings, I think, it's like, I agree, it handicaps the other team, or it handcuffs them in a sense that, like, if they retaliate, then not only is it pitcher and it's manager too, which I get it. I totally get the basis for that, but I'm thinking to myself, like, I'd rather, if they do that and they should be ejected, you don't need a warn. Just throw them out. And all ejections for those come with automatic warnings as well. All right. Arinerm writes, you should see a Brave home game because their stadium organist plays walk-up music for the visiting batters based on the pun on the batter's name. Pujols, for example, might hear Call Me Al. So Matt Kaminsky is the organist in Atlanta. Wonderful guy. And he actually inspired me for our hockey team, you know, after you score a goal, you announce the goal. And during the announcement, it's like scored by someone, and then you do a little organ flourish to sort of like an exclamation point, assisted by someone else, and then you play another little flourish. And so Matthew's at bat music for the visiting teams inspired me to come up with specific player organ flourishes. Like for Cam Fowler, I do Freebird because foul, you know. We used to have Ricard Raquel, and for the Ricky part of it, I would do Never Gonna Give You Up because, you know, I'm super jealous that San Jose won the draft lottery and they're going to get Celebrini because that was an easy goal flourish. I would have done Celebrate Good Times or, you know, or Celebration. What's the name of that song? The player that we have that gets selected to the All-Star team, they get the first little bit from All-Star by Smash Mouth. So, yeah, Matt Kaminsky in Atlanta has been a huge inspiration. He does a great job there. Yeah, he's a remarkable talent in Atlanta. And if they get a hockey team back, he does minor league hockey games, but if they ever get a hockey team again, he should do that too. Let's see. Mike P. Thoughts on doing analysis on old oddities like when Bell refused to take first base after being hit by a pitch. So we used to do, and we still do off-season this is like peak off-season content that you're talking about, like old school retro analysis. We do that. We do retro analysis videos during the off-season. And I'm still getting comments on a video that we did of like Ron Dibble throwing a ball into someone's leg or something. Like we do that, and it is an off-season thing because, as you can imagine, we are oversaturated with other stuff during the season itself. Let's see. Cube Expert 42. Favorite trans heroes, icons, role models? I ask because I, as a trans woman who looks up to you as a role model. Oh my gosh, that's so nice of you. Laura Jane Grace. Again, we're talking about music as being my thing, and there's no better representation that I like. That I back when I was trying to figure out what the heck's going on and trying to like, because it's like knowing the answer but also not knowing the answer, you know. You look for representation. And Against Me and Laura Jane's very public transition and her very, you know, it's like obviously you put out an album called Transgender Dysphoria Blues. Looking at that was super, super helpful for me. And she's been just such like an amazing person to look up to. And so she's my inspiration in that realm and is a trans hero of mine. And, you know, Amy Schneider from Jeopardy is another one. She won 40 games. That's second most to the all-time great, Ken Jennings. And, I mean, the gap is huge. Ken is like 74, 72, something like that. And she's at 40. But still, it's number 2 all-time. But no, Amy just going day in, day out on that show and just representing, not you know, it's like not say like this is my whole deal, just like this just happens to be a part of me. I'm doing other stuff that's really cool, but this is also who I am that exists as well. and it's okay, and I can still exist in the world and accomplish things and do stuff. And so part of my whole idea, like when I was coming out back in 2021, my whole idea with like number one, like unlike simple sexuality, you can't hide being like changing genders is not something that you can not be public about. Like so like my name's changed, that's kind of a big deal. Like people aren't gonna not notice that. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get out in front of this and be public about it. And if anyone wants to look and see representation in baseball, like in specifically the baseball creator community officiating, or the hockey community or whatever, I'll be public about it. It's totally fine. Because we're all here to support each other. Let's see. MS happened to... Don't jump again, computer. I had your question and then it jumped on me. Happened to me in a high school game. Ball 4 hits the front edge of the plate. Ball 4... I have to visualize. Ball 4 hits the front edge of the plate and then deflects over a short backstop. So it bounces off the plate and goes up in the air. Okay. And deflects over a short backstop fence into dead ball territory. Batter runner gets first base only. Why? Good question. So that is considered it is a pitched ball, right? The pitcher is pitching. It hits the plate and goes out of play. If the ball goes out of play on any pitched ball or a pickoff that is from the rubber itself, that's considered similar. Basically, a pitcher pitching or picking off from the rubber, that throw goes out of play. It is a one base award. Why? That's just the way it is, I guess. A thrown ball gets 2 bases, but a pitched ball gets 1 base. Maybe when they made the rules, they were like, this is the most fair. I don't know what the rationale is, but I know that that's the rule. And I totally get the frustration because, like, on some of these super wild throws, you would think maybe the batter or the runner could get 2 bases. Why, by making it a 1 base award, maybe it hurts them in a sense. But that's also the same thing with what we call a ground rule double, which is technically a rule book double, right? Ball bounces on the warning track, goes out of play in center field, and the runner from first can't come all the way around to score. He has to go back to third. Same thing, 2 base award, and that might hurt you sometimes, but it also might help you sometimes too. Take the good with the bad, I guess. Matthew Casoli, we see umpires miss visual calls sometimes, but less getting a rules interpretation objectively wrong than I would expect. I get their pros, but there are so many calls. Am I forgetting any, and how? I'm trying to interpret this question correctly. We see umpires miss visual calls sometimes, but less getting a rules interpretation objectively wrong than I would expect. I get their pros, but there are so many calls. Am I forgetting any, and how? No. I agree with your assessment that they will miss like actual baseball safe out calls and stuff like that, or ball strikes, more often than they'll get a rule wrong. And I guess the only way that I can respond to that is, and of why that is, balls and strikes, safes and outs, those are things that can be variable. And you can do your best to try to prepare for them, but they're unique. The rules are not as unique. They're pretty much, you learn the book, you learn the interpretations, the manual, and that's what they are. That's it. They don't change. I mean, they do change, but not during the middle of the year usually. So you can prepare for all of it, but the rules are more constant. So you can master them and get them a heck of a lot more than like a ball or strike that you don't even know where the pitch is going to come in or what it's going to look like or anything else. You know what the rules look like and how to apply them to a play that you've never seen before, perhaps, but you don't know what the play is going to look like. I hope that makes some sort of sense. Let's see. Did you see the XKCD video, What Would Happen If You Threw a Baseball at 90% the Speed of Light by John Smith? No, because I don't, this might be a channel I don't know. I like watching Disaster Breakdown because that's the kind of person that I am. I'm the kind of person that will like on JetBlue when they first got when they first got DirecTV, like satellite live TV on the airplane. I'd be one of those persons that would put on National Geographic when they were running air crash investigation, watch that during the flight. I don't know. Disaster lesbian. Anyway, totally out of left field there. Weird question from Trey Starry. But which ejection do you think is the best ever? Mine is Girardi in Boston after A-Rod is hit after 4 straight at him and warnings were given. Oh, Brian O'Nora behind the plate, and there's this wonderful slow-mo of Girardi like doing this right next to O'Nora's face. Yes, that was interesting. My favorite ejection of all time. Gosh, that is hard. There's so many good ones, right? Like we do year-end awards, ejection of the year awards. And so that's something to look forward to at the end of the season. But I cannot think of it's like you know how it's like sometimes you'll think of too much at all at the same time and your mind goes blank. This feels like one of those times for me. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one was my favorite. I have a lot of them though. Okay. Real justice. Hit batters should go to second base, not first. Banana ball? Cooper, Texas. Or TX. I'm not sure if you meant for it to be a state abbreviation or not. What is in the Yankees' closed letter about cheating? I didn't realize they had one. The Astros weren't the only team cheating. Chris Sale and David Sampson have said every team was trying to cheat. Honestly, everyone's trying to gain an advantage. Where's the line between trying to gain an advantage and cheating? I don't know. Like Cora on the Red Sox, like I feel they glossed over the whole Cora when he was on the team. Like I feel they glossed over him a lot. Like he's on the he went to the Red Sox, like he got suspended for a year, but it was like not a big deal. But the Astros always were a big deal. Maybe because that's the team where they found the smoking gun. But I feel like all teams did it. Maybe still do. They're trying to do something. I don't know what exactly. I'm waiting for someone to hack into the electronic ball strike system in the minor leagues. That would be fun. Be like, what's happening now? Jordan writes, I wish the Rangers had Frank Vetrano right now. We have... Yeah. My goal flourish for Frank Vetrano was... Well, he was an all-star, so he got all-star. But before that, Fly Me to the Moon by Frank Sinatra. So, there you go. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, Dibble throwing at the runner, Joe West threw him out. I mean... It was a different time. I think Joe would get so much crap for throwing him out if he did it now. Any opinion on Bob Davidson? Bob's funny. If you ever talk to Bob, he is funny. He does say some off the wall stuff sometimes, and his comments can be interesting, but he's a funny guy. Really good at calling balks. More annoying from Aaron says, more annoying interference called obstruction or obstruction called interference. What's more annoying, interference called obstruction or obstruction called interference? I'm not a fan of either of them, but I would say that, like, I'll put it this way. When you call, when someone, like are you talking about umpire calls or broadcasters just mixing up the terms or something, or not knowing what the terms are? Because if it's like umpire calls, I think it's more important to, like, it depends on game situation. Batted ball, or is it not a batted ball, right? But I think if we're talking about broadcasters mixing up the terms or not knowing the terms or whatever, I think that I rather, as much as it is annoying to hear, I rather have them say interference when the defensive team obstructs than for them to say obstruction when the offensive team interferes. And the reason I say that is because interference seems just like that's the standard word for that everyone knows. But obstruction is this fancy word that, and it just feels to me, and I don't know if I'm reading this completely wrong, but it feels to me when a broadcaster says obstruction when they're talking about a runner who is interfering with a fielder, that the broadcaster is trying to sound baseball smart, but instead they're sounding baseball stupid. And it's like if they did one, like if they call like a fielder obstructing a runner, if they call that interference, I assume they're ignorant. But if they call a runner interfering with a fielder, if they say that's obstruction, the runner obstructed the fielder, like that's obstruction, the runner committed obstruction or whatever, I feel like they're trying to one up you by saying they know the rules when they really don't. And I know how that sounds when people say that I try to do that too sometimes. So, but yeah, I rather they err on the side of saying interference than err on the side of saying obstruction. Just a small thing. It doesn't matter. They're wrong both ways, I guess. Big Board says, Lindsay, if you could add or modify one rule in baseball, what would you change and why? Wow. If I could add or modify a rule in baseball, I mean, there's so much in the rule book that I have little problems with. I'm trying to think of like something in the rule book I have a huge problem with. And I think I don't like the two base award for a rule book double or a ground rule double for a ball bouncing out of play when the runner from first is already at third and, going to easily score. I don't like the fact that they have to go back to third. I would change that. I don't think that's the biggest fish to fry. I'm trying to think of what is, and I just can't remember off the top of my head what I grieve so often, but there are tons of things that can be fixed. I suppose part of it is like I don't like how pro can be super different, sometimes the opposite from high school or vice versa. Because it's like if you're one of those umpires, and there are many umpires out there who do both college and high school, you know this as well as anyone. You have to know both the high school and the college rule book and apply it correctly in the correct game because it could be the opposite ruling. I don't like that. I think they should all standardize them in a certain way. Like, I just don't like the fact that all the rule sets conflict on so many different things. Like Carl Childress wrote the baseball rules differences back in, he did basically until he passed away. And this is a really nice book if you don't have one. I don't know if they still sell these online or not, but that's how thick that book is talking about the rules differences between levels. It would be awesome if they could fix that problem, if you even call it that. Let's see. Yeah, Mayday in Canada for air crash investigation. That's right. Yeah, I just watched TW 800 again. I've been watching that. A lot of these are repeats for me because one of them does it and then another one of the series does it, and you want to see, it's like, oh, is there anything different? Oh no, there isn't. What I mean, it's like, fuel tank is too hot, spark, short wire. It's the same thing every time, but it's still fun to see how everyone presents it. WX Made Simple. Hi, Lindsay. Why did the MLB get rid of the shift? I think it's because they wanted to encourage offense, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't think it worked because I think I remember reading an article about how offense is like at a low for however long the period is. But I think that's the reason, that they wanted more offense. And would it work? Would it not work? Beats me. All right. Yes, Jordan, Davidson did eject a fan in Philadelphia for vulgarity. Leafs dude, have you ever thought about doing the Youppi ejection as a video? Bob Davidson ejected Youppi in Montreal. I don't remember if we did a UP standalone video. He definitely talked about it on the podcast. I'll go back and look at it, and if he hasn't, I'll put it in a video during. But that's off-season content again because there's so much going on during the year. All right. Mike asks, how would you go about rewriting the rulebook text with the intention of making it shorter and more unambiguous clear? The MLB rulebook is one of the most vague, I would say, word short, like by word count, I think it's one of the shortest books out there of all the rulebooks. And I think that, like, we've reached a point in baseball where we need to be better at defining things. Like, for the strike zone, we need to say if it's the hollow of the front knee, the back knee, the average. Same thing with the midpoint. Because right now, you have a batter that's going to stand and one knee's up here and the other knee's back down. You don't know which one's which, and the rulebook doesn't help you. We used the front knee colloquially, but that's not in the rules anywhere. I think that you need to be very specific about that thing. And again, I think it's just a function of these rules being written before we got to a place where we dissected the game so much. Because it was back then, it was like, oh yeah, the rules are like that. Let's just do it this way. And now it's huge. It's a huge business now that it wasn't before. And people take it super seriously. So I think that the rules need to be more specific to reflect the times. And the ability of video, too. What is my opinion on the ghost runner, the Manfred man, the second base runner in extra innings during regular season? I'm not a fan, but I understand why it exists. That's one way to increase scoring, right? I like the old way of doing it, but I also am so fully aware of the issue of going like 20 innings. I understand why you don't want to do it. Like hockey has a 5-minute overtime and a shootout. Now the shootout could theoretically go on forever. It doesn't, because that's just not, that just never happens. But NBA, you theoretically could have unlimited overtime. It just doesn't happen that way. So baseball's a sport that the probability of scoring during any particular inning, if you don't have a ghost runner at second, is low, and that's that can create some really long games. And because MLB games are 162, whereas every other season is significantly shorter, 82 for hockey and basketball, or 16 for football. You don't have that problem that you do. Like baseball, it's just constant games and hours and stuff like that. Part of it is, hey, the owners don't want to pay staff to that much overtime, and that could be a reason for it too. I remember one time I was working at Dodgers, and I had been stung by a bee, and on top deck, and the next day I come in, it's an early game, and I come in and I'm swollen like crazy, and so they're like, you need to go to our workers' comp doc, like the clinic or whatever. So I do that, and they gave me Benadryl, whatever they gave me, and they sent me home, and I got paid for what I would have worked had I still been at work that day. That game went over 20 innings. I was very happy with that arrangement. I've played the 14th inning stretch when I was playing, Oregon for the Dodgers. With a runner at second, and would I be able to do that again? I don't know. I honestly don't. I understand why they did it. I also I'm a fan of tradition, but I understand they want to end the overtime quicker. And NHL, I suppose, they went from 4-on-4 to 3-on-3 for a similar reason. They wanted to increase the chance that someone's actually going to score during overtime. So as much as I am inclined to say no just out of habit to the runner on second thing, I also totally understand it. I don't hate it. I really don't. I just I wish it wasn't necessary. I'll put it that way. Real Justice, your White Sox interference call was only partially right. The interference call occurred before the infield fly was called. The ball play therefore was dead before the infield fly was called. I'll put it this way. The rule book does not state in anywhere that a dead ball precludes an umpire from calling an infield fly. I know that's weird to say, but just because interference occurs on a pop-up to the infield does not mean the umpire still can't call an infield fly. That's number one. Number two, I think Adrian Johnson actually did call it first, but that's a side point. It doesn't really matter. The point is, if it's an infield fly, it is an infield fly, whether or not it gets called right away. You're supposed to call it as soon as it's apparent it's an infield fly, in your judgment, right? That's the major league rule. High school actually does it, so no matter what the umpire calls or doesn't call, if the umpire doesn't call infield fly during the play, they're still allowed after the play to go and talk amongst themselves and be like, oh yeah, that's an infield fly, and impose the infield fly penalties the way that they see fit, had they called it, even though they didn't call it. So, infield fly can still be called even if that ball is dead on interference. And the rule actually says that you're supposed to keep play alive until you can determine whether it's fair or foul for an infield fly. But yeah, these videos, like, I'm trying to compress rules into a certain amount of time, and sometimes I just skip over stuff because otherwise the video is going to go down a rabbit hole and it's going to go on forever. Leafs Dude, what do you use to edit videos? What's your favorite effect to use? I use a program called ScreenFlow. It's available for, I think it's all the different operating systems, but it is called ScreenFlow. It's super easy to use. I tried Final Cut at some point and I was like, why is this so complicated? And I got ScreenFlow. I got the demo version first and I tried it and I was like, this is easy to, like a user interface standpoint. And I bought the premium one to just basically have this as my primary program. The only thing is it's a little buggy sometimes in terms of recording audio and stuff. Sometimes it has runtime errors here and there, and sometimes I lose my recording. I have to re-record, but I recommend it. It's a wonderful program. What's my favorite effect to use in that? I mean, chroma key, right? So, that's my favorite effect. In terms of transitioning effects, like the default one is just a simple fade that they give you. They also have dissolve and stuff like that. They have one called spin that is kind of cool. I use sometimes. I also like push, like if I want to just move something off screen super quick. For the balls and strikes, when I give you the PXPZ numbers and all that, it's a text box, and I use the animation for text called move to move line by line. When I show rules, I use typewriter to just do letter by letter. Super fun features in that program. Okay, when does MLB go to a home run derby to match? Isn't that a bananas ball rule or something? If they can't solve the extra inning issue. Yeah, you're not a fan of the shootout in hockey. Yeah, I would prefer 3-on-3 overtime until someone scores, but I know that I don't think the players' union would want that because, yeah. Can I recommend Audacity? Is it Audacity? Audacity because of audio? I don't know how to pronounce that. The free program everyone has, or everyone can have. Can I recommend them to record my audio, or does it not allow you to import audio files? No, I can do it. It's just a lot more work. Like I can create waves in MP3s or FLACs or whatever and just import, drag and drop, but it's just a heck of a lot more work for me because then I have to do one recording here, then drag and drop into this program. I much prefer to use their native process, even if it is a little buggy sometimes. It's still better than feels like wasting time a little bit if I was trying to use an external program. G J D G J D G J D, because I can't pronounce them all together. What did you think you might do instead if MLB had continued to pursue the copyright claims on your videos? Do you think there was a particular reason you were targeted? I think that it was a blanket thing that got everyone, like everyone that wasn't whitelisted or whatever, because it's like I wasn't the only channel, obviously. If some channels that are bigger than me were wrapped up in that, so I don't think it was just me. I felt like I was targeted. Oh gosh, did I? Because it was like, how could it's like you're getting all of these emails around the clock saying we're copyrighting this video, and it's like I haven't thought about that video for how many months, and you're copyright claiming that too, and so I don't. Yeah, it felt terrible, but I don't think it was just me being targeted specifically. Maybe I was in a list of channels to go after. I don't know. But what I think I would have done if MLB had continued to pursue the claims, I would have to continue fighting the dispute. If they rejected the dispute, then I would file a counter notification. And the problem with filing a counter notification after they reject the dispute is they get to rule on that. Like they, as in the person who claims the copyright, gets to rule on their own case effectively. So they would have to rule on that. And if they rejected that, then my videos would get takedown notices. So they would be removed. My videos would get taken down, and I would get copyright strikes. And 3 strikes, your YouTube channel is out. So they could shut down the channel really easily. So that's the downside of that. And like, it would have been hard to continue this in this capacity if that had happened. And I would have had to think like, are you familiar with there's Mystery Science Theater 3000, where the bots and the guys are riffing movies on the screen. And it's all one package. And then there is the sequel to Mystery Science Theater 3000, so to speak, called Riff Tracks. And there's other versions of it, but Riff Tracks is the one I'm thinking about. And all Riff Tracks is it's an audio only track that you are supposed to synchronize yourself. They give you a software player or whatever. Like you buy the DVD of Titanic, and you synchronize one to start both of them, the Riff Tracks file and the Titanic video, and it should all line up so you can still hear the riffs on top of the video, but the people who are supplying the riffs are not also supplying the video. They're just doing the riffs. And I might have done like one of those types of commentary things. I don't know. I know that would have hurt me a lot, like in terms of viewership and stuff, but it would have been a hardship for me for sure. Especially knowing that like I'm in the right, and knowing like that these claims are not good, especially when they're filing claims on college games, and it's like, this isn't your stuff. I dealt with that with the Korean TV company that filed a claim on me on a video that I did of a major league ejection of a Korean player. They filed a claim because they're like, copyright claim, and they must be the Korean TV rights holder back in Korea. And it's like, dude, I'm using like the game footage is from the Pittsburgh broadcast and from whoever they were playing. These are major league teams in America. You do not have standing to file a claim. This is not yours. And, it went all the way, because they did a takedown, copyright strike, that whole thing. And it went all the way to when, the part, like, the appeals process went all the way until there's a stage where it's like, I file a counter notification, and their option to come back to me is to file a lawsuit against me. It got all the way to that stage. And I was basically like, yeah, sue me. They didn't. Instead of suing me, they released the claim. And it's very nerve-wracking to know that you're in the right, yet it's very scary to be at the end of this process and like to be at the receiving end, and it just like big company and little person, right? Um, let's see. Did you look into getting a lawyer? Was that even an option for you? Copyright system? Yeah, I was starting to. Yeah, I really didn't want to because that's just a whole like that would have sucked the life out of me. But yeah, we were at that stage for sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was a very difficult time that week or half week or however it was a week. It was yeah by the from the start to end of this whole saga, it was like because it's not just that they claim the videos and stuff. It's because obviously you just see you just see your income go all like it just takes a nosedive, and you're thinking, oh no, this like and they're claiming every new video that you put up, and it's like, oh no, this is my future, like my company's destroyed. And it's like you think back and it's like I've worked on this since technically 2007, though I haven't monetized it that long. It's only been a few years for that, but I've worked on the overall umpiring thing since like 2007. And you're thinking this is the end, and that's a good like what 17, 18 years at this point. That's really hard. Um, but no, I'm glad that it ended up working out in a good way, and yeah, I'm very fortunate that I was able to get the support from all the right people, and that and it's like and other creators that do similar baseball similar yet completely different things, right? Like Fuzzy has game recaps. I don't do that at all, and he has a very cool content and audience and all that stuff, and I do rules, and John Boy does a lot more entertaining stuff. So everyone has their own little thing. I don't know where the other big creator person fits on this, but um yeah, it's nice to feel part of that, like, oh yeah, I'm also a creator who does this, and I have my own little specialty corner just as everyone else does. So yeah, I'm glad that this gets to continue. um Hard to believe that if you just post property of MLB, that's not enough. No, it's not enough. MPTR. I like people post that fair use disclaimer and say you should post the fair use disclaimer and the federal code and all that. And it's like, no, the law has nothing to do with that. Whether you post it or not, it doesn't matter. It's the law is there whether or not you post the law. And especially when they're doing content ID and it's just a computer looking for visual matches and stuff, it doesn't matter. It's just the computer. It's going to, if it detects something, whatever the criteria might be, if it detects that stuff, it'll flag it, it'll claim it, or whatever they instructed it to do. And it doesn't matter if you have a disclaimer or not. That doesn't excuse what they see as a violation. So yeah, that's how that is. Anyway, I have to get to doing these videos at some point because 3 ejections today is insane. And as much as I wonder, hold on, let me try this. I'm gonna take our first ad break of the live stream. I'll be back after this. Hold on. I don't know how this works. Do I press this button? Okay, I think I'm back. I hope I'm back. Did everyone get through that okay? Okay, cool. So let's see. What do we got going on here? Let me see how to scroll all the way down here. Okay, so if I open this page, no. All right. So what is our? I can't show any game film or anything like that. I'm not going to get in more trouble, but I do want to go and at least look at the box score to see what happened. So who's our first ejection? It was. Well, I know Cash was one. Oh, Nationals guy. Yeah. Okay. All right. So. All right, so we got third inning. Like, I can show you some of what I do for this. Like, hey, oh, here comes a behind-the-scenes look at the Close Call Sports, how I do ejection videos without the actual content. Okay, so let's open up Blogger, because that's what we use. And I know that this is not the exciting part at all. And if you have questions, I'll be glad to look. Oh, where did John Boy shout us out? If you go to, yes, it is. If you go to the where the follow-up video I did where I'm like, hey, good news, I think that video that I did a few days ago. One of the top comments is about the John Boy shout out, and that was super nice of him to do. All right, so let's see. So okay, anywho, this is Ryan Wills is the last one, 65. We'll copy that into the new post for 66. Let's see. Ejection 66 is by Malachi Moore. So we will go to this. This is kind of fun. I'm gonna delete that. Go back here. And now is the part where we edit all of this stuff down here. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go under our ejections tag. And okay, so it's going to be 66 and a manager. So just increase by 1 to make that a manager. Look at the manager tally, makes that 29. So 29. It's not a player, so we don't need a stat line. Next up is, this is the Nationals. These are the Nationals, right? Actually, I should do that. Nationals and Guardians, June 1st. So Washington Nationals versus Cleveland Guardians, 6-1-24. All right, that was good. So that is going to be a team from the NL East. NL East. And there's our NL East. Copy that. Put that there. Go here. And paste. So that's going to be 3 for Washington. So, comma, Washington 3. Washington 3. Cool. Next is Dave Martinez. When was his last ejection? So we go to Dave Martinez here. Is Corey Blazer on April 19, and it was Dave's. This is going to be Dave's second ejection of the season. So Dave Martinez, second ejection of 2004, first since I think it said April 19. Corey Blazer, was it? Let's see how right or wrong I am on this. Okay, cool. And the reason was, I'm going to call it obstruction. And was it correct or not? Quality of correctness, incorrect. Okay. So QOC is N, but it's a crewmate's call, so it's N-C. And the reason is obstruction. Put it there. Highlight all that mess. And let's add a link. And now we're going to do the same thing for the ejecting umpire, who is Malachi Moore. And Malachi Moore is tagged in Bruce Dreckman's ejection for some reason. That's bizarre. Malachi Moore have an ejection this year? I don't know. I'm always double guessing. I'm always second guessing myself here. No, he doesn't. He must not, because I don't have him on anywhere since the crew list. Okay. All right, so his last ejection, this is Bruce Dreckman's, but his is July 18th, 2023. So this is going to be Malachi Moore's first ejection since July 18th, 2023. It's going to be Pete Walker. Oh, I remember this one, the mound visit ejection. Pete Walker, ball 2, no. Pete Walker, QC, no. Balls, strikes. I think that's all for that one. Cool. This is, so that makes this one Malachi Moore, number 44. That was Kerwin Danley's number. First ejection of 2024. Now, this might be a culpable rule 1. Let's go find out what it was. This is how I do it, by the way. Yeah, this is pretty much how I do it as I'm trying to read the comments here, and it's like, yes, I am still here. I'm trying to actually, like, I'm not gonna be able to do this for much longer than this, but at least while I set it up, I'm trying to live stream how I put together one of these things up until I do the video portion, obviously. All right, so what was I gonna do? Oh yeah, we were gonna try to find out what happened. Third inning. All right, box score, bottom of the third. Oh, I hate when these happen, because you said it was this. You said this was one of those check swing ones. Is it, good old. Let's go to the internet. Dave Martinez. Let's see what happened. So this must be the end of an inning. Oh, here we go. I don't know if you can see this, but oh, this is the play. This is like one of those plays from who was the guy on the, I think it was the Marlins, or was it the Brewers, or was it the Nationals? A few years ago, before COVID, I think, he had a check swing and he got hit in like the face. And I think it was either Bill Walke, maybe, that called it a swinging strike and ejected the manager for it. This looks very familiar to me. Okay, so that's exactly what this one is. So this would be I assume this is a dead ball strike then, because it hit the batter. All right, let's go check it out. Where is... So this is going to be Jacob Young, number 5, swinging strike. So it's not considered... Okay, so it must be swinging at the pitch while the pitch strikes him. So I will go ahead and open the rule book so I can get the rule book up on the screen too. So I can, because I'm going to put the rule in on the video so everyone knows that this is what the call was, or appears to be. A strike is a legal pitch which, where is it? Touches the batter as he strikes at it. So there we go. So I'll have that on standby too. All right, so that, I'm going to write up a preliminary report. And obviously I'm going to watch the video after we end this stream and confirm everything that is happening here. So to make sure that we get it right? So Nationals manager Dave Martinez. It's going to be a, what do we call this? Check swing, because that's what it is. Dead ball strike 3 call. We have no quality on this yet, so I will leave it out for now. In the top of the 3rd inning of the Nationals Guardians game. Put the hashtags for all of our Twitter peeps. Not that it does anything. I don't think anyone ever clicks on it. And now we just do game situations. So this is going to be with 2 out and none on. Nationals batter. And there's a lot of going back and forth between windows here. I actually have a 27-inch Mac, but like for the purpose of showing you what we're doing, I'm just doing it this way. Jacob Young attempted to check his swing on a, I think it was a 1-2 pitch. Yeah, 1-2 fastball from Guardians pitcher. Now they don't tell me, like I should know the first name of this guy, Ben. Good thing I checked. Otherwise I would have written Blake. For a swinging strike call. No, for a swinging 3rd strike called by Moore. Replays are not, ordinarily I would put replays indicate the call was whatever. I've gone away from that on check swings because they are so subjective a call that for check swings I find it sort of like it's difficult to determine what the replay is on that, and there's so many different opinions. And now that I don't actually do the umpire ejection fantasy league this year, and there's no appeals board like there was in the past. So yeah, totally ignoring the fact that this call might be right or not. I just don't mention it because there's really no way to conclusively determine whether a check swing's right or not. So in any case, replays indicate, and then this is where I need the video because I don't know what they indicate. But I will write the pitched ball struck Young's, or what's the rule book language? I want to touches the batter. Pitch ball touched Young's hand as he attempted to check his swing. The call was irrecusable because we can't determine check swings. At the time of the ejection, the Guardians, of course they were leading. You don't see too many people these days getting tossed from games where they're doing well. It was the final 3-2 Cleveland. Contest 3-2. And then we go into our little, I don't know how to, hold on. There we go. I can move myself around. That's awesome. Okay, so now we go into our little labels part. UEFL. That's just a generic tag for everything baseball. This is not odds and end. What am I doing? UEFL, ejection, Malachi, Dave, Washington. This is going to be a check swing, but it's also the definition of strike. So we don't need culpa rule here because this is not going to be a location issue. But what we will use is the rule that says a strike is a legal pitch when so called by the umpire, comma, which touches the batter as they strike at it. Because I always convert gendered language to a gender-neutral terminology because not only boys play baseball. Okay. And let's go ahead and put an asterisk there. What is this AI suggestion? That's so stupid. Let's do that. OBR definition of a strike states. I'll just spell that out because I haven't defined the official baseball rules as OBR at any other point in this post. I always like to spell it out the first time, and in this case it appears to be the last time that I'm using it. And I think that I am all nearly fully prepared. I'm just going to write a caption. Martinez ejected, arguing Young did not attempt to, did not, I'm going to just say did not swing, less words, at a pitch that hit him for now, and then I'll change it later. But anyway, that is how I set up a post before I do any of the video. And if we had balls and strikes, which, let's see if there's anything in this at bat that's controversial that could be balls and strikes related. Called strike. Holy smokes. Pitch number 1. What's going on? All right, I'll look it up. So we're going to go into the API for MLB. This is going to be Young strikes out swinging. And the very first pitch of the at-bat, which is this one right here. This is the number bank for that. You'll notice it says called strike up here, so we know it's the right one. The count is 0-1 after this, so this is the correct pitch. And we have a PX of 0.97. That is an incorrect call because that's greater than the PX of 0.941. So that actually will change the quality of correctness for this call to incorrect because there was an incorrect strike call during this at bat. But I'm not going to write it that way. I'm just going to acknowledge it when I do the video. And so we have that. An additional resource that we like to go to is Savant, which is a site that can give us some visuals. So let's go to Washington, Cleveland. And the third inning, this is going to be strike 1, so the count is 0-0. Illustrator. Ben Lively. I have to narrow it down a little more. Oh, batters. Duh. Where is my hitter? Jacob Young. Yeah, there you go. That's not a strike. So there you go. It's that's how I get that visual. And then of course I can go over and get 3D if I wanted to get 3D. And I assume, yeah, that's the one. Yep. Okay. And then I also can go into the Avondice app, and I just need to get the special ID that's associated with this game, which is that one. But first I have to load the script. Yes, I know. And this is publicly available in our Discord server, by the way, if you want to be able to do this too. This specific script that I'm about to run. Oh, okay. Let's see. Happy Pride Month, Chas 1991. Slugcatcher Jr. says, "Tell y'all what's crazy. This is my first ever YouTube comment." Congratulations on your first YouTube comment. Lindsay said her first name in the channel update, so I googled her for the first time in the years I've been following her videos. What did you find? Hopefully something not terrible. She's the organist for the Anaheim Ducks. This is true. It's almost unfair for one person to have so much talent. Oh, that's super nice of you. Thank you. Yes, Lee, dude. I seriously did not know who Blake Lively was. I say this as a musician, by the way. I am the most like non-musical musician, like in terms of knowing popular music and stuff. I am so not with the times on music. That's just how it is. But okay, so now I think this script is loaded by now, so I can load this too. So I am... oh no, the stupid thing is not letting me transition again. Gosh, it's like I'm in Texas or something. I just want to go back to being able so you can all see what I'm seeing. And I forgot how I got my transition to work last time. OBS is like amazing in that it does this. I just don't know how this thing works at all. Like I'm trying to use the fader switch, the switch here, like, but the switcher, I guess it's called. I'm also in sports entertainment and like video production. I should know these things. But it doesn't seem to want to do it. I don't understand. Why would it not let me transition? Well, ask and you shall receive. Okay. So here's the visualization that we're looking for. This gives you, so Avanade Scripts gives you every missed call for every game being played whenever. Singled, wait, did I do it wrong? I think I did it wrong. I screwed that up. I chose the wrong game. Hold on. This is no, I need to change that to that and do it again. I just want to see Malachi Moore's first call of the young at bat in the third inning because we know it's off the plate, but I want to see how much it's off the plate because this script will tell me. All right. Oh, he missed a lot of calls to Young in the first inning too. Where'd it go? There it is. So this is going to be miss number top 300 count 7. So let's go down to 7. I hate this graphic is very difficult. This is the 3D zone. And there we go. I was like, where is it? This is so hard. Okay, that's how much it missed the plate. I don't know, like, is there a zoom? How do I zoom? Do I go like that? Oh, up. I'm learning all sorts of things, just like you are today. I just want like a top-down view. It's, whatever. This is close enough. Okay, so that's where the pitch was, that's where the plate was. And according to this report, it missed by 1.74 inches, which is outside of our margin of error. And as Avanade says right up here, for Malachi Moore's game score, his accuracy raw numbers that everyone's going to see is 88. The CCS, that's us with our 1 inch margin of error, is 95. MLB's zone evaluation system with 2 inches of margin of error, it's a buffer zone that will give him about 97. They can make adjustments here and there on pitches if they want to like exclude a pitch because the catcher received it poorly or something. But 97 is about league average. And so yeah, that's how that works. And where is pitch number 7 on this? There's pitch number 7. I don't know if you can see it that well, but yeah. So that's how all that is. But yeah, I guess the check swing is the big problem. I'll have to go back and watch the video to see if they actually complained about the whatchamacallit, strike one call at all, or if they just went straight to the check swing was the only thing that was a problem. So yeah, real justice, check swing straight through. Okay, so now your comment makes a little bit more sense. You're responding to this specific play. I didn't realize that this was what the play was when it happened. So yeah, check swing on strike 3. So you think that this should be called an automatic strike then? Like, because it's like you can say it's not allowed, they'll still do it, but you're saying it should be an automatic strike. Uh, I don't. It's not like I super disagree with the idea on this pitch, but I think there has to, like, I don't know. I would have. I need to wait for the, because seeing it from the side is my only angle. Is hard. I'm gonna pull up the video for myself shortly before giving you all the video later, and we'll see. Is it true that there is a 2-inch? But yeah, the MLB internal system uses approximately a 2-inch buffer zone. So our whole thing is like, hey, the public sees 0 inches. If MLB is using a 2-inch buffer, let's split the difference 1 inch. And not only are we going to split the difference 1 inch, it's actually supported by documentation, because the manufacturer of the original PFX system said our product is accurate to within 1 inch. And we were like, oh, that's their margin of error. So we're going to use one inch as a margin of error, because that's what the manufacturer says to do. Check swing would only be asked for if an umpire didn't call it a strike already. And it looks like he called it a strike, so, or a swing, I should say. So, in any case, so with that said, it is 40 minutes after I said I would end this stream so I could do my videos. So I will end it now, so I can go ahead and work on the Dave Martinez ejection video for you. That's probably the only one I'm going to do today, because I have stuff with friends tonight, because I'm trying to preserve my sanity from time to time as well. So, but I do want to get this out for you, and in order to do that and not get copyright flagged for streaming the game, I have to end our live stream. So, thank you so much for joining me today, and for some wonderful questions and wonderful comments. And thank you. Quick question. I'll wait until you ask it. Sure. Knowing full well that there's a delay, but Slugcatcher has a quick question that we can't close down the stream until... Yeah, there we go. Did you ever get any more color on the strikes / why they went away? The copyright strikes. Color, like clarification. No, they just mysteriously vanished. One day, I just woke up, and it's not right when I woke up. They just sent a whole list. It's like at 11 a.m., I was having breakfast or whatever it was, and I just got a whole bunch of emails, one after the other, that this claim has been released. This claim has been released. All of that. And it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know who did what, but it worked. And someone, whoever's the decision maker or team or whatever, decided to release the claims against me, and I have not been claimed since. And I am super thankful for that, and I really hope it continues. So, anyway, thanks everyone for joining, and stay tuned for like maybe an hour and a half, and I hope to have this Martinez video out for you. I like to Real Justice. I'd like to follow up with you on the infield fly roll. Read your comment section later on. I'll try to remember to do that. Infield fly roll. That's a whole other to do. We'll get into that next time. I was planning to do the lawsuit thing today, but whatever. I'll do it another time. See y'all later. Video's going to be up in about like an hour and a half. And thanks for joining me.